What's up?
Hello, Sumo fans. We are back. The weather is nicer. We are about to, get pretty close to summer, and we have the wonderful May tournament to talk about.
Daieisho, March was incredible. May does have a lot to live up to, but when I was putting together the Banzuke notes, I'm like, ooh, there's a few real tricky things going on this time around.
May is going to be interesting because, like you said, March was such a hype. Will we have a little bit of a drop-off because of all the craziness? Or will we just get more craziness?
May get more craziness. This is going to be... I feel like this is going to be like the sobering moment for a few people in May. Like there's going to be some stuff that happens in May that people are either going to be like, oh, this guy's got it, or oh, we need to work on this.
Yeah, especially because a lot of people performed very differently than they had been up until March.
Uh-huh.
So we're going to see if there's a momentum build or if there's just a complete falling apart. And when we get to certain people, we'll go there. We'll talk about that. So we're going to start at the top like we always do with Terunofuji. 3-3-9. Rightfully, we predicted that he probably wasn't going to do that tournament. Too much had gone on between the injury he got in January, getting COVID, the craziness of March. It was kind of set up like, take some time off.
Yeah.
So, the question is, what shape is he in now?
Yeah. So, rumor has it, no COVID, injuries healed, typical song and dance, excuse me. This is very much like parents went away for the weekend, the kids threw a party in the house, the parents are coming back now.
Yeah.
And so, I feel like Terunofuji has to sort of reestablish, like, this is my thought on his mindset, is that he's just like, people can't forget who's Yokozuna here. Everybody's talking about who the next Yokozuna is going to be. Everybody's talking about who the next Ozeki is going to be. I have a feeling that Terunofuji doesn't need to prove anything, but is going to feel like he does coming into this tournament.
And it'll be the first time in a while that he's had to prove anything because he had such a meteoric rise and he was sort of like the underdog for a little bit when he was trying to go back up. But now, yes, this is the role that Hakuho found himself in constantly. Because he had all the injuries over the years. He would have to take a couple tournaments off. Everybody would write him off. Everybody would talk about this guy, that guy. He'd come back in, Zensho, Yusho, put everybody in their place, and then take another tournament off.
Yeah.
So, I mean, the precedent is set, and I think Terunofuji has to make some people pay, like Tamawashi.
Yeah. Also,
Daieisho.
Also the rising stars. So a lot of the people, specifically Mitakeumi and Wakatakakage, the two people who are gunning for the top, Terunofuji probably has that Yokozuna pride to put them back down.
That's right. You don't want to get too much... Well, it goes two ways, right? On one hand, it's like, you don't want to get too cocky, kid. But on the other hand, it is a rite of passage for Yokozuna to put the Ozeki through the ringer, because it's like, if you want to join me up here, you have to understand the difference between Ozeki and Yokozuna. And it's interesting, if you watch the Hakuho documentary on NHK, there is a conversation about that, about actually how shocked Hakuho was at the difference and some of the coaching he got from Yokozuna, telling him, listen, the difference between Yokozuna and Ozeki is worlds apart. It really is. So he's also got that part of him where it's like, while you're still healthy, you need to be the guy who rises everybody up to your level. So he's got a lot of pressure on him. If he is really back up to good shape, there's no reason to think he won't do what he usually does. I don't think they've gained that much momentum on him. But the question really for me is that heel. He's been using that heel to protect his knees. And either if the heel falls apart and that makes him vulnerable, like why Tamawashi was able to blast him out, or if he goes for broke and then actually breaks himself. Those are two things to be worried about. So hopefully none of that happens. Hopefully that's just in some dark corner somewhere.
Dark corner.
And we get really exciting, because I want to see Wakatakakage fight Terunofuji. I want to see Mitakeumi fight Terunofuji. I want to see some real...
that we have the makings for some great sumo matches in May. The last point I'll have to make on Terunofuji is he mentioned 4 Yushos this year.
Yeah.
So
to do that, May, July, September, he'd have to win out.
He'd have to win out. So definitely he's got it in him, but he already has this level of gotta put these youngins in their place. Also now, if he loses any Yusho for the rest of the year, he's not going to get that number 10 that he wants.
Right, and I have a feeling that we really are seeing, like, the last dash. I don't know that we'll even get more than a year out of him. We'll see, I mean...
Yeah, so there's a...
He's at least making it feel that way.
Yeah, so there's a lot of pressure going on Terunofuji, but also Terunofuji is going to be exerting just as much on everyone else. And
if he does that Yokozuna aura thing, it's going to intimidate these young guys, and they're going to make mistakes.
That's the fun.
Yeah, that's what you want when you're in a Yokozuna match. You want to see the aura overtake the young guy.
Yes.
It's fun. So, now we'll speak about the next guy, the guy who probably has the most talk swirling around him, which is Mitakeumi. He now rightfully takes the Ozeki 1 East spot. So he was Shin Ozeki last time, 11-4, did what he had to do. Now he's top Ozeki. Now there's lots of talk. You know, what's he going to do next? I will say that he definitely should be motivating Shodai and Takakeisho to do better.
Yeah, so this is having that third Ozeki in there, maybe the shot in the arm, the spark that the other Ozeki needs to sort of bring the best out of them. Now, the whole Yokozuna run from Mitakeumi, I feel like, well, quite frankly, it's put up or shut up.
Yeah.
At the end of the day. Can Mitakeumi put up or shut up? I don't know. This new Ozeki 1 East Mitakeumi, maybe he's figured it out. But I feel like whether or not he does is separate from this new Ozeki tussle we have going on. Because what Mitakeumi does have going for him is that he doesn't have the problems that our Ozekis of late have had. No injury issues, knock on wood, no confidence issues, no variety of techniques, performance. The hunger was there. 11-4 at Ozeki is not easy.
Well, and really importantly, he knows how to win.
Yeah.
I mean, at the end of the day, it's all about getting wins. And he knows how to win. He knows how to keep himself in a certain position. Takakeisho and Shodai, they both, for whatever their reasons are, almost have to have their backs against the wall all the time in order to put up the numbers. So there's no stability there. Mitakeumi's like the stable guy. But the question is, you know, is he stable Ozeki, or has he got another level? And like you said, it's just, I don't know.
Don't know.
You gotta just show us.
Mitakeumi, show us, where is the ceiling?
Yes.
Where does this end? It's a mystery.
What I find interesting, and we'll go into this a little bit when we get to other guys, when they did the interstable practice, there was a lot of faces that hadn't been in one of those in a while, if ever. And it was interesting that Mitakeumi wasn't there. And I wonder if it is. I definitely saw this with Takakeisho, and probably with Shodai as well. When you hit a certain level, now you don't want to show them what you have. Hakuho always used to show up at these things because he was so cocky. He's like, I'm going to beat everybody up, which he would do. That was the last time Takakeisho ever went to one, was when Hakuho just thrashed him. But Mitakeumi was going to these things, and he wasn't at the most recent one. So I wonder if he's like doing the super secret hyperbolic time chamber training, so that he can surprise everybody in May, and they don't necessarily know what they're going to get from him.
Yeah, this is part of the, I'll say the mystique, the intrigue going on in May.
Yeah. Because
a lot of people are coming in here with these set expectations that they're going to either meet or fall, and well, less so for the other Ozeki, but definitely for Mitakeumi.
Mitakeumi has a lot of hype right now. He's taken over the hype that Aoiyama had. That's
true. Rightfully so. He's, earned the Ozeki 1 East.
Right. So, we'll see what he can do.
Yeah.
Which brings us now to Shodai. Shodai is Ozeki went west, and really sort of the dark horse big thing to talk about in the last tournament. He went from, this guy is done, and there's nothing in him, and all this, to coming back 9-6, better than Takakeisho, and actually affecting the outcome of the tournament.
Absolutely baffling. Loved every second of it. To see Shodai dig deep at that stage of the game, and like you said, to change the Yusho, it
was kind of special in a way.
It was miraculous.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of times in sumo, yes, things change and they flux and everything, but you don't usually get that kind of drama.
No.
It's usually you can see a pattern, and the pattern tells you, okay, X is going to happen. Everybody thought Shodai was dead in the water. Luckily, Shodai didn't think he was dead in the water.
There was something that clicked. There was something that happened. I'm going to say that fairy godmothers are not out of the question.
I'm going to agree with you on that.
So maybe some glass slippers, some pumpkins turning into carriages happened. So the good news ultimately for Shodai, no Kadoban.
Yes.
So a little bit of pressure taken off. Everybody's looking at Mitakeumi, everybody's looking at Terunofuji. A little more pressure taken off the Shodai. He needs all the help he can get. Maybe sometimes it feels that way. But at the same time, like if that was the pivot, if that was him just figuring it all out in those last 5 days,
that'd be awesome.
Then this is a Shodai that can be the Shodai who became Ozeki in the beginning.
Exactly. For him, it's more of, unfortunately, at this point, we're waiting for Shodai to be Ozeki.
Yeah.
We're looking at Mitakeumi to see what he can do next. We're looking for Shodai to rebuild and just be a strong Ozeki. He's kind of got to go back to the drawing board. And like you said, maybe this was the pivot.
So that's sort of where Shodai's mystery is going to be. There's a few people on this list that I'm like, you know what? I got no clue.
I know, right?
Like you said, usually there's the pattern. Usually you can see the tide coming in or going out. For Shodai, I'm not going to know until day 10. And even then, like he could be like 3-6. I'm like, guys,
he can still do
this.
And you can't say that for everybody.
No, it's so weird.
So, I mean, from an entertainment standpoint, I don't know if all sumo fans feel this way, because some are like, I want to see excellence all the time. I sort of appreciated the drama of the whole thing. It was like something else to watch. Like, you're watching Mitakeumi to see, is he going to be in the Yusho? And you're watching Takakeisho to see if he's going to, if he's injured or not. And Terunofuji's out. You're watching Shodai to see, is this a car wreck coming? Or is this going to be, like, the coolest story ever? And it's nice to have those. So, hard to say what's going to happen with them. We will see. Which brings us to Takakeisho. There's a lot to say about Takakeisho in terms of not knowing what the heck he's going to do.
Oh, goodness.
We never know if he's injured. We never know what kind of condition he's in. He went from, when he first became Ozeki, he was always at these interstable practices. He was giving interviews. He doesn't give interviews anymore, at least as far as I can see. Chris never has anything to say about what Takakeisho said. Everybody else is giving interviews. He doesn't go on interstable. You don't hear him talking about what's going on in the stable. It's almost like he's making everything, like a mystique. So for that reason, I don't ever know what's going on with him. And unfortunately, he might be fine right up until a tournament, and then it's every single tournament some new injury pops up. But we'll never know.
Never know.
So, it's hard to say what Takakeisho we're going to get. I know we're going to get an angry Takakeisho. I will agree, this is a shroud of mystery. Again, this is the running theme in May. It's like, what's going to happen? There's a mystery, there's intrigue, it's this investigation. Got to tune in to find out. Yeah, get your magnifying glass out and
it's like
go through the fine print.
Old school soap opera cliffhanger end of season stuff going on.
Yeah, that's
really.
Yeah,
it's what's going on. So for Takakeisho, the constant I'm going to say is that there is no way he is fine with Shodai and Mitakeumi being higher up.
Absolutely not, especially Mitakeumi.
There is,
Well, put it this way. I don't know the intricacies of it. There's bad blood between Takakeisho and Mitakeumi in terms of rivalry. It doesn't mean they don't like each other, but there's a red-hot rivalry there. There's been there since the beginning. Mitakeumi was the guy who was supposed to be Ozeki long before Takakeisho. And they've had a lot of battles. Some of Takakeisho's injuries came from battles with Mitakeumi. They've had playoffs. Like, they've had a lot of heat together for a long time, and then it just sort of shifted because Mitakeumi was falling off, Terunofuji was coming up, and there was sort of that new dynamic. Takakeisho has shown his anger in the last couple of tournaments. Like, we could guess on it, but he's also showing it. We're seeing, like, if you see that Sumo Stew episode, apparently Takakeisho used to be a really fiery, like, kind of brash person, which I never saw.
Never would have guessed it.
He tried to change his personality to be an Ozeki. It's been coming out. It's been hard to put the cork on that bottle.
Yeah, I feel like Takakeisho is just as frustrated with his fragile body as all of us are like, no, please don't hurt yourself. Like, he's just like, I don't want to get hurt, guys.
It's just, I want this. This is my dream. So,
I see him channeling that anger towards something that he's going to use in this tournament. Now, again, he could be, if he's in perfect health, he'll be blasting people in the low orbit in no time. If he's got some other injury, if he's fighting something
We're feel like go right back to where we were.
Right back to where we were, but if nothing else, he is going to have a bone to pick with half
everybody.
The people. Everybody! He's just like, you're in my way.
Yeah, I mean, he got mad at Ura, for goodness sakes. Ura's like, and he's like, I'm gonna kill you.
I'm gonna kill you.
Takakeisho is the human embodiment of, like, an anime character in a sports anime. He shows it. He's got all these obstacles to overcome. He's got the, I'm gonna show you I can do it. So, for me, you know, he's the most interesting to watch. But unfortunately, especially if you're watching a sports anime, the lesson comes in losses. It may take a long time before we ever see Takakeisho do what he was doing. And this year, he turns 26. I saw that and I was like, for the longest time, I'm like, oh, he's only 22. He's only 23. Now he's entering into middle-aged sumo already.
He's the second half of the 20s, yeah.
So, you know, now the clock starts to tick. As soon as you hit 26, the clock starts to tick on, okay, what are you going to do with this? So, we will see Takakeisho. I seriously hope that he's fired up and he's not hurt. And I'd love to see him have a real fight with Mitakeumi. I'd love to see, like, a real clash.
The three of those guys, days 12, 13, 14, 15.
They could be very exciting days if everybody's in. It's when people aren't in the battle at the end that it's like it falls apart. I'd love to see the guys who are supposed to be in, including Takakeisho, fighting for everything at the end. But we will see. So next we have the man of the hour, the man of the month, the man who has to bring his trophy back at the beginning of the month, Wakatakakage. He maintains the same rank, which it's understandable. He can't go on an Ozeki run. But boy, that's got to have some frustration.
It's when you get to Sekiwaki, when you get to Kamasubi at that point,
you're already in trouble.
Well, it's resume time. You got to put your application out for Ozeki. It does suck to get 12-3 and then you don't move anywhere. But it's like movement now is long term. This is sort of what you're mentioning, like the gulf between Yokozuna and Ozeki. There's also a gulf between Ozeki and Sanyaku.
Yep.
And then there's that, well, normally there's a gulf between Sanyaku and Megashira. This time around, this Banzuke, not so much. We'll get into it later. There's some really interesting stuff going on in that. But regardless, so Waka is now going to have to contend with, I won the Yusho, my rank didn't change. But at the same time, all he needs to do is rack up double-digit wins.
Right, he doesn't have to win another tournament.
Got out of the way.
But, you know, it's interesting because this is make or break. You win the Yusho, you get 12-3, there's no rank increase. You have to have this internal motivation to do even better, not necessarily get a shiny trophy at the end. You know, like, a lot of guys, it's like, oh, I'm going to win the trophy, I'm going to win the trophy, and as a result, they get a higher rank. He's got to dig really, really deep and take the little wins for, like you said, the future role.
So, last year, Waka, 2021, 2020 Wakatakakage, when he was doing that dipping in the Sanyaku and falling back out, like, I don't think he could handle this pressure. Because the last time there was a big target on his back, it didn't work.
Yeah, it actually made him do what you typically would do, which is fall down.
But this one, this 2022 Waka, this, I will make everyone feel the power in my tiny frame, I will pick up Daieisho and slam him to the ground.
That was crazy.
This is a different person entirely in this 1 year. So
I think his brother coming up made a difference. I really do. Like, we talk about those intangible things, and sometimes those intangibles mean nothing. It's like just fun to speculate. I think it's different when your brother enters in, because there's such a strong relationship between siblings in Japan, and they feel each other's competition, and you also want to make each other proud. So I really think that his brother coming up is the X factor. It helps him put everything together and work even harder. And now his brother will be doing the same. And he's going to want to maintain this consistent level of being a top guy and want his brother to come up with him.
Yeah.
So that is a big change between the 2 years as well. And assuming his brother just does his thing, we could have this great, sibling situation going on where they're up at the top ruling the whole thing. So, he is a question mark, though, I will say. We didn't expect him to win the U-Show. We knew he was great. We didn't expect him to win the U-Show. We will have to see what he's made out of his time.
Well, this is... Everybody's going to want a piece of him now.
Oh, yeah. He's a smaller guy, so, you're going to really have to show your muscle here.
Yeah. I feel like he can do it. It's just... It comes down to execution. It comes down to... How much has he changed? And I think he's got it. I expect at least you show contention out of him. Maybe not at back-to-back trophies. I feel that would be a crazy, beyond expectations.
I agree with you, because Waka has always been the guy that, as I was watching him come up, like, this is the guy. If anybody was going to be a Hakuho type of guy, this is him. What you really, really want out of a wrestler is someone who doesn't get injured. And the way not to get injured is not to be too heavy, but not to be too small. So he's got a great frame. You've got to be really, really strong. He showed how strong he is. But you also have to have a variety of techniques so that you're not wearing out your knees. Like, one of the reasons Hakuho could go as long as he could is when certain parts were falling apart, he would just pick out another move. And, of course, damage the entire body.
Yeah.
But that's what you need for longevity. So he has all those pieces if he keeps the sumo sense going. If he understands in a fight, I need to do X, he could be the next great thing. He's not going to be super power man in terms of, like, he'll never be the size Terunofuji is, but he might be able to be just as strong, like a Hatomafuji.
Maybe.
I mean, Hatomafuji was pretty small.
Smaller, definitely, but still,
he could do so many different techniques. So I agree with you. I think he definitely has the capability. So barring anything crazy, knock on wood, I expect to see contention. I expect to see him right in the mix.
Right in the mix.
Which brings us to, unfortunately, maybe predictable, maybe not, Abi. He did get to keep his rank. He pulled it out in the end with an 8-7. But what we had discussed prior to the tournament was he had been getting all these double-digit wins, and he was really, showing that pressure wasn't getting to him. I guess that wasn't true. I guess the pressure was getting to him.
I think he finally hit a level where it was, the expectation was building, and I think Sekiwaki was his career highest. I think when he was Sanyaku, he was Kamasubi. So for him, now this was this new level. Now he was now he was sort of exceeding where he was before. Expectations still there. People were like, "Oh, now time for Roseki, time to go." So I feel like it finally was the level too far for him. And so what's going on with Abi now is that now everybody's looking to the east side of the Banzuke.
Right,
everybody's
they're not talking about him anymore.
We're not talking about him. So they're talking about, like, I mean, we just look down the list. Look here, look at the east side. Mitakeumi, Wakatakakage, Hoshoryu, Takayasu, Kiribayama. This chunk right here,
yep.
Everybody's talking about them. You go over here, nobody's talking about these guys. Well,
that's a good point.
So, this is the hiding zone.
Yeah.
So, what's good for Abi right now is that he can just focus on being Abi. And he doesn't need to focus on being Ozeki. He doesn't need to focus on getting these piles of double-digit wins.
He just needs to maintain what he's doing.
Yeah. There was a lot of the old Abi that came out, the panic pull, the seemingly little lost.
Yeah.
If that's gone, if he can shake that out, we may get our Abi A back. Now, maybe this is what Abi has to prove to us. It's just like, okay, you've got back to where you were. You were driving the steam train up the ranks. Now, how much coal do you got left?
Right. Are you gonna be like Daieisho, where you come in with a head of steam and you're ready to show your next level, and it's like, oh, there is no next level. I think there is for Abi, but yes, unfortunately, a lot of his old habits came out. Those panic pulls. Mm-hmm. His feet are flying off the doho. This is an issue with all pusher thrusters, except for Takakeisho. He's a completely different problem. Most of the pusher thrusters get so into, the frantic mode that their feet come up in the air and they just go flying. Like, their momentum can be used against them. And Abi was all over the place. But he pulled it together at the end, just in time to maintain his rank. There seemed to be enough maturity in him that he wasn't going to let it fall apart. And that's about as best as I can say for him in terms of what we know he did. Like you said, we're going to have to see, is he worthy of all the Ozeki talk, etc. There's a lot of fans who don't think he is. They remember the old Abi, saw the old Abi show up, and like, he's done. So, he's one of the bigger question marks for me. I don't know what we're going to get. If we're going to get double digits again, or if he's going to fall out. Well,
what's going to be interesting is when we start talking about the chunk of Megashira right underneath Sanyaku. We have got a Shark Tank.
We do. Everybody's just like feasting on each other.
So what's good for Abi is that a lot of the public expectation is not going to be on him. The problem is that there are 6 people after his spot.
Yep.
And so if he's not going to hold on to it, it is going to be torn out of his hands.
Well, right below him is our next guy, which is Hoshoryu, and we know he wants to rip everybody's head off.
Yes.
He's like a little bulldog down there, like, ready for his moment, ready for his shot, and he's young. This is like when we were talking about Takakeisho when he became Ozeki so young. Hoshoryu's the young guy, and while he's having a lot of interesting struggles. I mean, when you watch a Hoshoryu tournament, it's so confusing. Because he'll either start off really, really bad or really, really good, and at the end of the day, it's 8-7. And the 8-7 never, ever, ever tells the story. There's another example. If I was watching a fighting anime, Hoshoryu would be one of the main characters. Because you would see all this fight in the one episode where, he tried this technique and that technique, and the match went on for a whole minute, and at the end he did this crazy throw, and you feel like you went through an entire roller coaster of emotions with him, and the next day he's out in 2 seconds. And you wonder what's going on in that head of his, because he's got the gruff exterior, and he's got the swagger when he wins, and he's got the mad, mean face when he loses, and you just see a man who's got a lot going on between the ears.
Yeah.
And it's difficult for him to put it all together, even still.
Yeah. The thing for Hoshoryu is he held Sanyaku. He broke the curse. He stayed at final days regardless.
Yeah.
So.
And that's the important thing.
So you build from there. Don't want to talk about Ozeki's yet.
Definitely not for him.
Is it in his future? That's out of the question. He's going to be Ozeki eventually. Just don't talk to him about it now. You get him, not 8-7 now. Give him a 9-6, maybe a 10-5 in May, And then that's just going to get him even hungrier, even more aggressive.
He was at the inner stable practice, but I'll say that he sort of faded in the background a little bit. I didn't feel an overwhelming presence of like what he could do. I don't know if that was intentional or not. I don't know if it was just there were some massive guys who showed up, and so that's where all the attention went. Or if he just was like, I'm going to quietly go in here and study how these guys fight and get some ideas. I almost got that sort of sense from him. But, yeah, we will see. He can make things very, very interesting if he decides to make a move. Because we already expect something from Waka. We expect something from Mitakeumi. We expect the Ozekis to show another side. We think Abi might pull a rabbit out of a hat. What if Hoshoryu throws himself into this whole craziness?
He's in position to do so.
Yeah.
I would say he's just as dangerous as anyone else on the Sanyaku list.
So we could have another crazy tournament. Next we have Daieisho, which he's more of the stable presence in terms of you see a pattern with Daieisho and you know where it's going. He doesn't do too many things that surprise me these days. He did make it back to Sanyaku, but it was an 8-7. He's just a fighter. He's always scrapping for every little morsel that he can get, and basically every tournament for him is either like a 7-8 or an 8-7.
Yeah, so what's interesting about Daieisho is I had a hell of a time trying to figure out who they were going to give that final Kamasubi slot to if they're going to open up another one.
Yeah.
And they gave it a Daieisho because he was Sekiwaki, or because he was Megashira 1 East. So they're like 8-7 at the top rank, you get it. And then everybody else gets chucked into this lower section here.
Yep.
So I, like, if you look at this, Takayasu, Ichinojo, Kotonowaka, Kiribayama, like, this is almost a second Sanyaku chunk.
It really is, especially considering, in particular, how Takayasu and Kotonowaka did in the tournament.
Yeah. So, no, all props to Daieisho, who was Sanyaku before, definitely earned the rank, and is in it scrapping with everyone else.
Yeah. Just quietly doing his thing.
Doing his thing, like you said, reliable. We're not expecting him to go on an Ozeki run. I think he's peaked a little bit on that end. But where we're talking about anybody here could be popping off.
Yeah, I mean, he's the guy who could come in and affect a tournament.
Yep.
And that's, in a lot of ways, that's just as important if you look at the whole sumo tournament as it is instead of all the individuals. You need everybody to play their part. Daieisho's the guy who could play spoiler for any single one of the guys up there.
Yep.
Especially Terunofuji.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing Daieisho fight something. Maybe he'll pull out something, be able to dig a little deeper now that he's got that Sanyaku rank. I'm not holding out hope for it, but I would say it's in the cards.
It is.
There's a guy who's won Yusho before.
Right, he's powerful enough. It's one of those things where everything has to align. His power's got to be perfect. His technique's got to be perfect. You can't screw up as a pusher thruster. You just can't. So, if everything were to align, he could have a basho where it's like he was the strongest guy and he blasted everybody out. It's possible. It just seems like a lot of people are studying their opponents.
Yeah.
Daieisho's an easy one to read.
Yeah, it's never sleep on Daieisho.
No, I think everybody when they have to fight in at least in the back of their head, I don't want to get my face busted. So, we will see. It'll be interesting to see how everyone in the Sanyaku and upper, how they all battle each other out. So now we have Mr. Slow Walk, Takayasu. He was Myogiryu 7 East, Myogiryu 1 East. This was his tournament to lose. Unfortunately, 12-3, but no Yusho. Another sad walk. But I will say this. You would never know this about him when you watched the interstable practice. When I was watching him in the practice, he seemed calm, cool, having a good time, giving Meisei some advice. He still seemed like the elder statesman. There's something in him, some resolve in him that's allowing him to keep coming back time after time, no matter how brutal the losses are. And I don't think it's been diminished yet. I think he's still got the fight in him.
What I will say is, the Takayasu, the first week Takayasu, some of the second week Takayasu, he had the Ozeki aura. And that was something that was never consistently there. Mm-hmm. When he was injured, when he was falling down. Like, you knew that people in the Interstable tournament, when people were addressing him, like, they would still, this guy is former Ozeki. Emphasis on the former. He still had the prestige, but maybe not the power. In March, he had the power. Now, I would have been nice for him to have the Yusho. I have cried my tears for that, so I'm going to move on with my life for my own sanity. So, like that, we were talking before about Terunofuji and the aura, the dominance, particularly with Ozeki who don't always have it. So, here's a guy who's walking like the Ozeki, who's like, nothing can get me down. That's what interests me about Takayasu coming into May.
Yeah, I mean, there's a maturity to him that he didn't necessarily show when he was Ozeki. In terms of, I mean, he stayed Ozeki for a while playing the Kadoban, not Kadoban game. But there's this extra need to fight at this point. As you get older and older and older, like, you have to make your final, like, what's going to be your final stand? Like, looking at a lot of the retirement ceremony footage that was going on, each one of them, when they would give their speech, they would talk about their regrets of how they didn't. I'm sorry that I fought so hard for you guys and I never made Ozeki. Or I'm so sorry that you guys wanted me to win a Yusho and I never won a Yusho. And I'm going to make it up to you by training the next guy. Like, there's such this intense, I need to put my mark on the sport before I leave, that might be part of what's driving Takayasu. Is when he goes to do his retirement ceremony, does he want to have to lament that he never won a Yusho to his fans? There's this intense, like, I need to give back to the fans thing in these retirement ceremonies. And it doesn't sound fake to me. Like, it doesn't sound like, I'm just saying that. It sounds like there's a deep, like, I failed you.
It's part of the culture. Like, there is, like, this unspoken or maybe spoken promise to the fan club that you will reach these highs, that you will pay back their gifts of aprons and sashes with
and letters and yeah, there's this sort of humbleness of, you didn't have to give me anything and you did, and so I owe you. And I wonder if for Takayasu that plays in his head a lot of, you know, I'm getting older, I need to pay back the fans, I need to make my mark. So I don't think he's ready to give up yet. I think this sort of older, not Ozeki Takayasu has a lot of deepness, and I'm not ready to give up. I think he's going to get that tournament.
Yeah,
Tamawashi can do it. Takayasu can do it.
I mean, again, as far as I'm considered, Sanyaku in this tournament ends at Megashira 2 West.
Yeah.
See, like, look at these, like, Takayasu, Ichinojo, Kiribayama, Kotonowaka.
Yeah, look at those records.
So we have 8 Sanyaku slots, as far as I'm concerned, in this tournament. Yeah. And Takayasu is an 8 and 7 away from getting another one. Formally.
You know, it'd be interesting. Team A, Team B. Like, if we like, I'm gonna focus on what you just said, and see at the end of the day who racks up more wins, Team A or Team B. Huh. So, Team A is. Does it start with Ozeki, or does it start with just? Are we gonna do just Sanyaku?
It would be the Sanyaku versus the top 2 Megashira.
Okay, so we got Waka, Abi, Hoshoryu, and Daieisho are Team A. Takayasu, Ichinojo, Kiribayama, Kotonosho, Team B. I'm actually going to tally up and see who's going to win, Team A or Team B as far as...
I would, again, like when I was looking at the Sanyaku slots, I'm like, they didn't open up Kamasubi 2 for Takayasu, and then I'm looking at it, I'm like, well, you go to Takayasu...
Look at all these other guys.
Look at these other guys. Like, you could have given it to any 4 of them. I'm like, so that was the decision. They just couldn't... They just started a logjam.
Right. For fun, everybody who's listening, put in the comment section if you think Team A will have more wins or Team B. And I'm gonna have to think about what I think, because it's gonna be an interesting dichotomy there.
Yeah.
Very good points that you've brought up, John.
Thank you.
So, speaking of You know, we're in Team B now. Ichinojo 9 and 6. He kind of did this quietly because there was a lot of hype around everybody else.
Yep.
I almost forgot that he did as well as he did. And this has been coming for a while with Ichinojo. He's been very, very consistent in the last year and a half. So he's quietly trying to position himself on Team A, and the logjam is preventing that.
Yeah. I feel similar feelings for Ichinojo that I had with Takayasu, that the way that he's performing, it is only a matter of time. Like, they can't keep him out forever.
Right.
If he gets another 9 and 6 where he is right there,
they'll have to put him
they'll have to put him in.
Right, they'll have to open up that new spot.
They may have to open a new slot. Like, I feel like... Now, historically, on my spotty memory that I didn't actually do the research on, even though I probably should have... Like, usually when they open up a second Sanyaku slot for people moving up, it almost never works out for that person. So I would understand the committee's hesitance. You can't just throw around extra Sanyaku slots for everybody. You've got to have this real build for it. Now, obviously, if somebody's slipping down...
Right, if you've got some weird situation where you have Ozeki Wake or...
Yeah.
Just something up there that's thrown... Or a coronavirus... somebody had to be out for coronavirus, it might be worth it to open that slot. But like you said, it's supposed to be reserved for a special situation.
Yeah.
And so we've had too many situations where they've opened it up and it didn't pan out at all.
Didn't really pan. So it's like this time around, I'm like, okay, fine. They created the logjam, and they've done this. We've talked about this in the past, that sometimes that the ranking committee will do a ranking like specifically to sort of either to promise something later or to make somebody prove something.
Right, it's a motivation.
It's a motivational tool. And I feel like for Ichinojo, a little bit. For Takayasu, definitely. It is a show me what you got. Get double-digit wins and we'll have to do something for you.
Right, like make us have to do
Make us do the work.
Exactly. Yeah, Ichinojo is the other side of that coin. And it's funny because while Hakuho was around, Ichinojo never really ascended to where he is now. It's could be completely coincidental, but they had sort of a thing where they weren't the biggest fans of each other. Ichinojo seems so much more relaxed in this new era of chaos. You know, maybe he has less pressure on himself or something where it's like, oh, I don't have to fight Hakuho up at the top. Like, I could beat any of these guys. And his back seems to be in better shape. Maybe he's found a way to fight through the pain.
Yeah.
But, like, his back was a major issue and why he would never fight at the edge. And it doesn't seem like he's having an issue at the edge anymore, so. Anyway, next we have Kiribayama, 10 and 5. Jumps up from Myogiryu 4 East to Myogiryu 2 East. He's Mr. Bouncy Ball. You know, get himself high up there and then fall back down. Do you think this time is different?
I feel like he's the new sleeper pick.
Okay.
So beforehand, it was like Hoshoryu, it was Wakatakakage. Those guys are in Sanyaku now. You can't sleep on them. They're on the top of the ranks.
Right. There's nothing they can do that's a surprise now.
Yeah. And again, looking at Team B, Takayasu, he's a known quantity.
Yeah.
Ichinojo, like you said, he's been doing this steady build. He's been the more aggressive, the Hariyama power and just like scary speed that showed up in March. And then we have Kotonowaka, who is going to be, we'll talk about him shortly, but he's on a tear. We know all about them. Then we go to Kiribayama, and we're like, he's up, he's down, he's there, he's there. I'm just like, hang on a minute. He was 10 and 5.
That was a sneaky record.
10 and 5 and Megashira 4. Like, he could have made
just 2 more wins.
2 more wins. He's in the Yusho contention. Also, in another tournament, that 10 and 5 and Megashira 4 gets him in Sanyaku. Yeah. It was just because the logjam was going on here that they put him where he did.
Exactly.
And it makes sense. Like, what are you going to go to Takayasu and be like, sorry, you're Megashira 1 West? No. You're gonna tell Kiribayama to take the back seat. Right.
You sit and you live in the you live in the desire to get higher. Like,
yeah.
Wow, I did so good, but it's like too bad not
too bad. So I guess I'm not 100% convinced on Kiribayama making the upward trend. But what I will say is that if anybody's going to be overlooked, who may be able to use the power of the shadows. Yeah. So like I was talking about earlier up top about how the Sanyaku west side, so nobody's really paying attention to them. Kiribayama sort of has some of that going on now, at least from a if you had to pick somebody who's going to win it, like you'd go right over that name.
You would.
You would. But could he win it? Could he beat anybody on this top list? He's beaten everybody on this, and maybe not Terunofuji, but he's taken all these people's scalp. He can do it.
He can do it, right? It's like putting it all together to do it all in one turn.
And it seems that every time the ball bounces, it gets a little better. It's a little firmer. He's getting bulked up just a little bit more. It's these little minute gains, these little things. Now some of the losses he loses are definitely he's just what you can't lose those to get higher. That being said, I feel like Kiribayama either is going to keep bouncing and then everything I'm saying is going to be hogwash and I'll just look like an idiot in 15 days, or something's happening. Something's happening. I'm getting this. Something's happening from him. Well,
you can't ever underestimate the fact that Kakiryu is showing him the way. I mean, Kakiryu was the man in the shadows in terms of the Yokozuna, if you think about it, because you had Hakuho, who was big name guy. You had the drama of Kisano Sato. Hadamafuji was winning more than Kakiryu was, and then he gets the drama on him getting kicked out of Sumo. And before Hakuho was Hoshoryu getting kicked out, Kakiryu was he was Yokozuna. And that was it. For the actual sumo wrestlers, he was the sumo representative in all the meetings and stuff. So for them, Kakiryu is the Don. But he had a quiet presence about him, and I see that in Kiribayama. Mm-hmm. I see him very much reminding me of Kakiryu. So if he can just tighten everything up, he could just sneak his way in, just like Kakiryu did.
Sneak his way in. Also, and give him another 10-5.
Yeah.
How you gonna say no to Sanyaka to him?
Right. That's one of those things where if you just keep putting up the numbers, something happens.
Something happens.
You can't think about anything but that. So, he's potential sleeper pick. And now we go to Kotonowaka, who gets a nice little jump from Myogiryu 6 West to Myogiryu 2 West. 11-4, was in the tournament till the second to last day. He got eliminated on day 14, right?
I think so.
If things had gone just slightly differently, he was in it on day 15, could have been a 3-way playoff. The question is this. Was it just everything came together at the right time, and we're seeing the brilliance, but is he ready to keep doing that? Did everything just come together?
Ready to keep doing that is the question, but this is not the first time he's done this.
True.
So 12-3 in July.
No.
Making his move. Gets injured. Comes back, not awesome.
Yep.
Comes back, awesome. Comes back again, awesome. Like nothing ever. You get rid of these two? You get rid of these two from injury? He's got a 12-3 and then 2 11-4s. He is on a collision course with the top. This guy is terrifying. So...
But he's got to stay healthy.
He's got to stay healthy. That's the factor. Also, the factor is 3 times he's within striking distance of the cup.
And it's not something you're necessarily talking about.
No.
The sort of, in-depth analyzers and the ones who are really, keeping score probably have him on their radar every tournament. But injuries do throw you off in terms of you never quite know if it's healed. Like Terunofuji, when you look at the autobiography that Chris Sumo did, he was the man. He was the man long before we ever knew he existed. Mm-hmm. And then all those injuries just knocked him all the way down to a peasant. So it's it's great that you're great, but if you get injured, you're done. So I don't know if maybe some people had written Kotonowaka off because of the injury, or if he's just sneaking around and we're just paying attention to so many other people.
Yeah. So, thing for Kotonowaka now, I believe this is his highest rank. So if he wants another 11-4, he's going to have to start beating up the guys at the top.
Yep.
So this is where this becomes interesting. This is where you start looking at the top. You're like, oh, Shodai's figured it out. Well, has he? Let's throw Kotonowaka at him. Oh, Terunofuji, he's not injured anymore. Oh, really? Let's throw Kotonowaka at him.
Right.
Oh, yeah, Abi just needs a spotlight and then he'll do fine. Oh, really? Let's throw Kotonowaka at him. I want Kotonowaka to just test everyone on this list.
He sort of reminds me of Kisano Sato. There's something about him. It's the same type of presence. So it would be interesting if he could be sort of the avenger of the tragedy that is Kisano Sato. And
it's. Now I do. At the same time, he's still young. This is still high flying. Historically, when somebody is in this position, they get knocked down a few pegs first.
Yes.
I say let Kotonowaka prove history wrong. Let's see what May shakes out for this guy.
Well, the funny thing about history, though, is the greatest of all time are the ones who don't get knocked down too many pegs, and they do it when they're young. So the question will be, every time we have a guy like him, are you the next guy who just zooms up there and takes your rightful place, or are you going to follow the pattern?
This is exciting. This is very exciting. This
is what waiting for a while.
This is what May's about.
Yeah.
It's the proving ground. So again, it's going to be hard to beat March on just sheer quality of sumo, drama, excitement, craziness, playoff. May is Judgment Day.
Yeah,
it is. We are getting Judge Dredd. We're going to drag Sylvester Stallone out of whatever cryo chamber he's in. We're getting this done. Carl Urban was actually in the new one. So we'll call both of them. Whoever calls us back first.
That's right, Carl. Come on, man.
Come on.
You got to do us a favor. Yeah, it's going to be. I think a lot of sumo. I think there was a lot of sumo fans that got picked up in this last tournament. Because I like to go through all the comment sections of different people's channels. There was a lot of fired up first timers because if March was your first tournament, it's like, whoa, this is what sumo is?
You're in.
Exactly. So I hope May keeps that momentum and we get like a whole new set of fans who unfortunately missed Takuho, but they're getting the new era. Next we have Hokutofuji. I was surprised, 9-6. He had been struggling for quite some time, down all the way to Myogiryu 6 East, which does not fit him.
No.
He's slowly building a campaign to go back to where he was.
So, this is... excuse me. I'm going to go on record as a massive Hokutofuji fan. So when I say that the second Sanyaku ends right above him...
That's a hard thing to say.
It's a hard thing for me to say, but that's what's going on here. And this is Hokutofuji's problem, is that he's getting outlapped.
Yeah.
Now, the injuries... Recovering from injuries, we said this hundreds of times. Like, it changes how things are if you're a half step behind. And Hokutofuji's always had that problem of just, like, being, like, an inch away from it. Now, that being said, if he's healthier, if he's stronger, and if he can put another 9-6 from where he is, it's right back to where he was.
Right, he's sort of a mainstay at this, like, Konosuba, Myogiryu 1 East.
Right on that horizon. It's like you're watching the videos of like water tension, like like there's those spiders that like run on the surface tension of the water. Yep. Like he's just pushing down right on it.
Yep.
So he just needs to break through, and I mean that's been the story of me watching Hokutofuji. It's just like I need him to break through.
That's his entire career, basically.
Yeah. Now and for better or for worse, all the people above him have rightly vaulted over him.
Yeah.
So this is another opportunity for him to reintroduce himself to this mix.
Right. He's been out for so long that he's not even in the conversation. He's kind of like a Takarafuji, where he's just sort of milling about,
Yeah.
And he still should have enough in him that he's not relegated to that spot yet.
It feels like if he's at full spin, that he'll go higher, but one way or another, this Team A, Team B thing is going to decide his fate.
Yes.
For the next 2 to 3 tournaments.
Right now, he's just trying to get on the team.
He's just trying to get on the team.
He'll take Team B.
Yeah. He's like, there's no Team C. Sorry, Hokutofuji. You're number 9.
Right. Like, it's it's like the heaven and hell thing between Division 3 and Division 2. It's like, you're on the line.
He's on the line. It's like, if you want to be on Team B, here's your list of people you get out of the knockout. So that's Hokutofuji's job in May.
Yeah, just be steady, not injured, and, bloody yourself like you always do.
Oh, man.
He's one of the most bloodied of the current
This spirit the spirit every time.
It's such a
every
flame.
time.
It is. Well, speaking of which, actually, is the immortal flame that is Tamawashi. Oldest man in sumo. He drops down a rank because he got a 7 and 8. But boy, I mean, he just crushed Terunofuji. He's such an interesting character in a way because he has this like friendly demeanor, especially when you hear the interviews and stuff. He's so kind and nice and everything. But he's really vicious in the ring. Like when he sees his opening, he will go for it. And there's no holding back. I mean, he threw Terunofuji out of there like he was a bag of garbage. We've seen him injure other people in the past doing like Kotonages and his Nodowa is like gonna take your head off. He's very, very hungry. It doesn't matter how old he is.
That power is still there. That the strength in his Tachiai, the Nodowa, the driving force. So it's like there's no the 7 and 8 at Megashira 2.
It's like
for him, incredible.
It is
incredible. It's almost like an untold story. Is that this guy is as old as he is, with push sumo, and doing great.
And just the fact that it's been several years now, that he won a tournament at all at 34, I believe. He was 34 when it happened. It tells you there's something internally in him that even though most of the time it's not going to go his way, there's enough in there that anything could happen.
He's playing foil. Him and Daieisho, both of them, they're in a similar boat. And now you go to a ring of Tamawashi, you blink at the wrong time.
First of all, you're gonna get hurt.
You're gonna find yourself out of the ring, lying on the floor, wondering what happened.
Yeah, I think Terunofuji is gonna be out for his scalp. I think he really didn't like losing that way.
No way. Sprawled out on the floor.
Yeah, I mean he literally took his feet up and he crashed out. I mean, if I was Terunofuji, I would really be coming for him. Mm-hmm. But Tamawashi's not going to be scared, so
he wouldn't be scared.
Maybe a nice rematch.
That's another thing about Tamawashi.
Yeah, there's no fear there.
That aura, I ain't gonna work on him.
No,
you take your aura, you can shove it.
Right, it's kind of like I'm an old man now.
Yeah, it's just like what are you gonna do? Threaten me? Yeah. Come on.
I'm on the record in the top 5 for the most tournament or. Most matches fought. Like, I'm an elder statesman. I'll do what I want.
Do what I want.
So we'll see. He's always just in it, messing things up. But he's never. It doesn't seem like he's ever got it out of his head that he won't do it again. That he won't get a Yusho again.
Yeah, give him the chance. I say.
Yeah.
Sleep on him. Count him out. He's going to knock you.
If the door's open, he's going through it.
He's going through it. If the door's closed, he's going to try to go through it.
Exactly. He's going to punch it.
Yeah.
I wish our next guy had that kind of fire. That is Endo. He has a slight uptick. And this is because of the logjam, too, I think. Because usually, if you have an 8 and 7, they'll try to give you the next spot.
A little bit.
But there's just nowhere for him to go. This was a sort of sneaky 8 and 7 because he wasn't looking so good. It was kind of like, we're getting that Endo again. And then he sort of pulls it off at the end. The thing about Endo is he's always thinking. So he can get outclassed in a match, but then the very next match he could pull some brilliant, flashy move. So I think he's always in it to win it, but at the same time, like, I don't know, he's willing to just throw the cards and like, I guess this isn't my tournament. So, I don't know. I mean, you never know if you're going to get. We always talk about it. He's got the capability to do so much more.
Yeah, he's doing a slow climb thing. Not as much movement as Kiribayama, but he's doing some 8 and 7s, 9s and 6s, slowly moving his way up.
I love watching him fight pretty much anybody technical, because then you get this like chess match of who's going to throw, who's going to do this, who's going to do that, and Endo typically is the guy with the greater plan.
Well, look at our group up here of all these throw peoples: Hoshoryu, Takayasu, Kotonowaka, Kiribayama, Wakatakakage, Wakamotoharu. So Endo is putting himself in a position where he can be real sneaky and start messing with people.
Yeah.
So here's the thing: he can get another 8-7, and again on paper you're just like, he won some, he lost some. What if one of those 8 and 7s was on Hoshoryu? What if one of those? So this is the big foil play for Endo.
Yeah.
Is that it's like no one's
ever really talking about it. Besides his fan club. He apparently has a very rabid fan club.
Yeah. So
but there's never any conversation of what's Endo going to do this tournament?
Yeah, but I mean, but at the same time, he's got all this potential for these good matches, these chess belt sumo kinds of things going on. So look to him, maybe not for brilliance, but for some real good sumo, sort of that like core, raw, two guys, battle of wills, battle of minds kind of stuff. Like that's
that game.
Yeah, and not only that's the game, but that's the game with some real stakes, depending on who he's able to throw out.
Right, like if he gets himself in a good position again and he's facing a Terunofuji at the end, I mean that match was very technical.
Mm-hmm.
I mean that was what was the most exciting thing, and then it hinges on this hairpin shift of the shoulder as he's going down. That's one of the cool things about Endo is, he's thinking from the tips of his toes to the top of his top knot. So we shall see, Endo. We shall see. Next, we have sort of a downer. Takanosho. He drops out of Sanyaku to Myogiryu 4 West, 4-11. He's been free-falling for a while now, but he just hasn't looked... He hasn't looked steady. It doesn't look like injuries, but you never know. I actually heard that Meisei was injured, and I didn't know he was injured, so...
No, explain it to you.
That would explain why he just fell apart.
Mm-hmm.
But Meisei didn't show that he was injured, so... Is that the same case with Takanosho?
Yeah.
Does he have an issue we don't know about?
Well, he is low enough down that Myogiryu 4 for for somebody who's career Sanyaku, Myogiryu 4 should be easy pickings.
Yes.
So here's the thing: if everything's fine with Takanosho, he just had a bad day, bad 2 weeks, or maybe he just had some injury that went away.
He'll be right back.
He'll be fine. But he doesn't do awesome.
Then
we know there's something wrong, because the meat grinder that's turning into the top of the division. Okay, maybe Takanosho just can't handle that. Takanosho at Myogiryu 4 West
should be fine.
If you're not getting 9 and 6, something's up.
Yeah, I always wonder, and we'll never know the answer to this either, what the stable situation is like with Takakeisho Takanosho, because. First of all, you had, Takanohana out. They go, and it's Shigano Ura. It's somebody else now. Takakento, or Takagenji and his brother, they each had a scandal and got kicked out.
Yeah.
You wonder if there's just a very unstable presence that has just been following that stable for a while. Because a lot has gone wrong. A lot has gone wrong in that stable in terms of, different coaches... like I said, a couple of scandals. I don't know. I almost wonder if there's a mental issue in that state.
That's always the X factor. It's the state of mind. It's what's going on outside the sumo world. Maybe that's something that's going on with him. But we can't see it.
No.
If there's no bandages on you, if you're not favoring a leg, if you're not standing upright weird,
we'll never know.
And it's it looked like at least half the ones that I remember, he was just beaten. Somebody was faster, somebody was stronger.
It kind of felt like Shodai when Shodai is losing. That's why I thought, if there's an injury that we just can't see, okay, he's given up at the edge because he just can't do it.
Yeah.
But it felt like what was going on with Shodai. It really felt like he just was like, I can't do it. And he's young enough into the tournament that I don't know him well enough to know what he has in him. He's sort of a quiet presence, so...
basically 9 and 6 or better, everything's fine. Anything worse than 9... Not 8 and 7. 9 and 6.
Yeah.
I think at this rank...
8 and 7 is a struggle.
8 and 7 is a struggle as far as I'm concerned. 9 and 6 is the baseline for him. 10 and 5? Okay, never mind.
Right.
Go back to...
we'll just pretend none of that ever happened.
Back to business. Carry on.
So next we have Onosho, Myogiryu 5 East, down for Myogiryu 3, 6 and 9. He's just doing what he always does. He's just not ready for prime time.
Well, here's my problem with Onosho right now, and I'd love to be proven wrong. On this list right here, everybody above Onosho, who does he beat? Reliably. He's going to fight Wakatakakage. Who's winning that?
Wakatakakage.
He's going to go fight Daieisho. Who's going to win that?
Daieisho. This
is Onosho's problem. It's just everyone else is better. It's not that he's bad.
It's just everyone else is better.
There's a distinction here. So, I feel like he's hit his ceiling.
Yeah, and he hit it really early in his career.
And that's the problem, is that you don't want to hit the ceiling. Like, this is my issue with Hokutofuji. I'm like, don't hit the ceiling. Keep breaking out. So, Onosho needs to break out.
Right, like there needs to be some radical change. And if you think about it, there's a ton of sumo wrestlers who fight for 25 years in Division 3.
Sure.
They never make it to Juryo, or they make it to Juryo at the end of their career, and you find out, wow, this guy's been fighting right at the 51.
Yeah.
So it's like what we talk about all the time. At least Onosho is good enough to stay in the top division, but that may be it.
Yeah,
he may not be a guy who can do anymore.
And like when Onosho was coming up, like we felt like we loved his energy. I still love Onosho's energy. That swagger he has, that almost Hakuho peacock like stutter step kind of thing. Like I love that out of him.
Yeah. And
he brought us through some great emotional roller coasters. So this is not me counting him out. This is me saying, I don't know where you go from here.
Right. We can't see a path forward.
I can't see the path forward. So he does need to start figuring out.
Like show a different side that makes us say, wow, Onosho is a new guy.
Yeah. I mean, it's any given Sunday, who knows who wins. Certainly that's the case. You can just 10-5 us and...
Right, he's done that enough times.
No, up and down, yeah. I don't know. I feel like this is just where he belongs.
Yeah. And
I don't like that feeling.
I know, you always want to feel everybody's going to progress.
You want to look at everybody, but like even like when we're talking about it with Endo, we're just like, well, we're like, oh, we can devise some convoluted scenario where he goes 12-3 in the Yuso contention. You're just like, it's somewhere in there for Endo.
Right, we're looking for it.
Yeah.
But the story is a totally different story.
I don't know. Oh no, so I mean, do something in May for me, I guess.
Yeah, give us something to talk about.
I like him just like all of a sudden squirreling in the Sanyaku. I would love it.
It would be very funny.
Just annoy about 10 people around him all at once. Be like, sorry guys, 14-1, I'm out.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, let's do it. Come on.
Exactly.
Come on.
That's what he'll have to do in order to make a splash. So next we have Tobizaru. He's done a pretty big jump for him. Myogiryu 9 East to Myogiryu 5 West. 9 and 6. I was very surprised.
His whatever connections he has with the Banzuke committee continues to serve him well. These are jokes, obviously.
Yes, but he somehow finds a way to have very favorable...
Very favorable. I feel like the flying monkey's maybe flying a little too high. A little bit of Icarus at 5 West for him. That being said, they may throw him at some Ozeki, which will be hilarious.
Well, you have to wonder if maybe that's why he gets the favorable things.
Maybe.
He's interesting.
Maybe.
And, like, it's kind of like, and I'm not trying to sound weird about this, but it's kind of like how you sit in the front row if you're at SeaWorld so you can get splashed.
Yeah.
You sit in the front row and see if Tobizaru is going to crash into you. And he's not, like, a super, super big guy, so you probably won't get hurt. But, like, there's that element of, oh, Tobizaru's in the ring. Let's see who can fight him, and let's see who can throw him the farthest.
Slightly more seriously, Tobizaru has been showing improvement. Like, he's been doing some more conventional stuff. So some of this higher in the rank may be a little bit more of a how much of this is actually you doing something kind of a thing. So, like, if Tobizaru can actually turn this around, can be like, okay, like, 10 of the days I'm just going to go cartwheeling into the audience, but the other 5 I'm going to belt work the crap out of you. I'm like, ooh, there could be more to this.
Yeah, no, I actually think if Tobizaru were to come into his own, he'd be a very fun fighter to watch. Like, he's fun anyway, but I'd love to see wins come out of it.
Yeah.
Because he is somebody that I would be rooting for all the time. Because he's so animated, you can almost sense his enthusiasm for sumo. And you need that sometimes. Like, you're watching it, and, like, maybe it's been kind of a dull day, and it's like,
Yeah.
that match stunk. And Tobizaru, I'm going to show everybody, yeah!
Yeah, you do get those days, just like, Yorikiri. It's like, oh, hey, he almost knocked that referee's head off.
Exactly. So it would be nice to see some results from him. Interesting also, just, reaching perhaps, but maybe not. The whole brother factor too, with Hidenomi having all those troubles. Does he have this now in him of, I want to show the pride of the family? Not like, oh, I got to show off my brother, but I got to make up for what happened. Maybe. And I will say that in response to earlier claims from the both of us that we didn't really know if he was somebody who snuck out of Juryo. Yes.
If you're Megashira 5 West, you did not sneak out of Juryo.
Exactly.
You belong here.
We take that away.
Yep.
That has been erased.
We will amend.
He's on Onosho level now.
Yeah.
He's graduated.
I'll say, for me, when I saw Tobizaru at 5 West, I'm like, he now officially belongs. And that whatever reservations or concerns or, 5th consecutive Makakoshi, but he's still not going down the ranks somehow. Later, it's like, okay.
All gone.
There's nothing you can say about this anymore because he is this high up and there is no faking that.
No, and he fought very well in the last tournament.
He did.
There was no walking. He definitely had done something a little different. And I did wonder, was it inspired by I need to work harder to make up for all the stuff that went on? Okay, so now we have a guy who's kind of a kindred spirit with Tobizaru.
In a way. I agree with that.
Ura, Maegashira 60s. He was not ready for Maegashira 1 West.
No.
I think we all kind of thought that would be the case.
It was, we had the Ura level of bubbly optimism where it was like, maybe
it'll work out.
It'll be fine. We told you, don't worry about it. And then he got 4 and 11. So, to be fair, not a bad tumble for 4 and 11.
No.
Also, I feel that Megashira 6 East plus Ura equals a very good time.
Yeah, I think he is at least at that level where that's not too high for him, and we could see some really interesting matches. Mm-hmm. And they do have the potential to throw a real tough guy at him if they want to spice it up. Yeah,
if he does well enough, they're gonna look at that, either Team A or Team B, and they'll be like, okay, which one of these guys is gonna get her today?
Yeah, exactly.
And it'll be right where we left off, honestly.
I will say though, he scares the crap out of me. The way that he bounces in that ring, I'm always afraid he's going to get really hurt.
Yeah, well, didn't he get concussed on day 2?
Yes, and then he came back like
nothing happened. So when he stood up and he was wobbling, I'm just like, wow, that didn't take long.
No one else would come back into the tournament after such a display. The other guys, if they were concussed, it would be minor or they'd be able to hide it or whatever. He was so obviously concussed that he comes back and you don't see it.
You don't see it. Then did he win the next day?
Yeah. And then, he's hitting his neck and flying out of the thing. It makes me nervous. I just hope, he's got, really bouncy joints or something. I just hope to never see him have a catastrophic injury because he is not afraid to throw his body around.
He's not. Almost reckless.
He must be super flexible.
There's got to be a lot of...
If Takakeisho fell the way that Ura falls, he would be in a hospital, and he wouldn't be back in Sumo.
He would shatter like a vase.
Yeah.
He'd be like throwing a desk lamp over it. It's like, that's broken.
Yeah, you would just see him on the side and be like, well, that was a fun ride.
Well.
Or you think, oh god, he's hurt, and he comes back.
Back up.
It really kind of defies physics in a lot of ways. So... glad he's in Maegashira 6 East because we're going to get a lot of exciting matches, but for goodness sakes, please, don't get hurt.
We need some of the side people in the ring to just have a mat.
Yes!
And you just have 2 people that are just running back and forth. Wherever the match goes.
Try
to catch Ura.
Yeah, sometimes I really do understand why people don't want to have that elevated ring anymore because it really does set you up for someone like him to get really hurt. I'm knocking on wood after all this conversation.
Put some mats down. I don't know.
Yeah, like, can we just do something? Can we change the tradition enough?
Get the gym mats. Go, like, just...
You can make them look like tatami.
Yeah.
Let them be soft.
Just put mats down. Just find a high school gym nearby. Steal the mats from the gym. Put them around. Paint them nice. Put, like, some, I don't know, get some, like, sumi paintings or something like that and put that down. Just, guys.
Yeah, come on, man.
Why is there a hard gymnasium floor? It's 2022.
Exactly. And, you know, the only one who's going to break your fall is another sumo wrestler or a coach, and you're going to kill them. You know, they're sitting on the side. The one coach got really, really hurt one day. When, you know, and they're even paying attention. It happens that quick.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I mean, no matter what awareness is going to help you when 400 pounds of man comes crashing down on you from 10 feet up.
No. And more guys are crashing out like Terunofuji. So, we'll see. Next we have brother of Wakatakakage, Wakamotoharu. He's doing a nice little campaign here where he's slow and steady, putting up a 9 and 6, an 8 and 7, building himself up. And he'll never have to fight his brother. So they really could have this like duo thing going.
Yeah,
he can keep elevating himself.
Wakamotoharu gets Kachikoshi in May. He will be able to knock off competitors for Wakatakakage.
Yep.
Which I know is part of what you're going on about.
That's exactly what I'm talking about.
When I saw him at 6 West, I'm like, if he was 5 West, if he was 4 West, he would be able to directly impact. And I still remember the Terutsuyoshi leg pick of Aoiyama.
Yes.
That it's that energy. It's that kind of power. That was the peak Terutsuyoshi.
It was. That's the thing that makes it interesting is when the group element actually gets introduced into this individual sport.
Yeah. So what's also cool about Wakamotoharu individually, independent of his brother, which, as we mentioned before, is a huge factor. Here's a guy who has not hit Makakoshi in the top division yet.
Yes.
Two top division shows, 2 9s and 6s.
Right. Like
Whenever I see something like this, I'm like, this isn't moving in the backwards direction like you'd expect from a guy who's been in Juryo for a long time and has finally made a way out. Like you'd expect an Oho almost.
Right, exactly.
You poke your head up, you're like, I don't know.
And then you're right back down.
Yep, and you're right back down. Or you'd expect, where is he? Forgot his name. Shimanoumi. Kotokuzan.
Yes.
7 and 8, clearly struggling. The pressure getting. Wakamotoharu is just like, I belong here.
I've been here forever.
It is this weird. It's like two tournaments. He's been in the top division,
and it feels like he's been there.
And it feels like he's been here for a long time. It does. It's just like, oh yeah, Wakamotoharu. You don't remember him?
How old is Wakamotoharu?
Wherever. I just scrolled past it. Silly me. 93, so 29?
Okay, so he actually is way older than I expected. Is he really that old? Huh.
There it is.
Yeah, so he's the elder statesman. Maybe he just has a maturity to him or something.
Yeah, it's the way he carries himself, the way he's just beating people on the belt like he's been doing this the whole time. Like there is, like we keep mentioning, like the gulf of talent between the sections. From Juryo to Megashiro, from Megashiro to Sanyaku, so on and so forth. He's just breezing through it. Like something clicked. Maybe it was his brother just doing so well. Maybe just something finally worked for him. So I am fascinated
to see what's going
to see what happens next. I am concerned that he's getting a little too close to the meat grinder, but at the same time, you get that waka motivation going on, or maybe he's just that good.
Well, I mean, it could go both ways, too. Especially with him being the elder brother. Typically, the elder brother is the one who's going to hold the higher position. Mm-hmm. What if, Wakatakakage does some stuff for him? And all of a sudden we get a surprise. We don't know Wakamotoharu well enough to know what he's capable of yet. When you see 29, you think, okay, guy at the end of his career, but he could have a late resurgence. I mean, this is a sumo family, obviously. They live, breathe sumo. The mind is very, very important. As far as what we can see so far, Wakamotoharu is, in decent shape without any severe injury that we're aware of. But we're gonna see, because when he gets to the meat grinder, that's the test. Are they gonna beat him up and send him right back down, or is he gonna like say, "Hey guys, remember me"?
It's gonna be the start of it.
Yep.
May's gonna be the start of it. We're gonna see. We're gonna see how high up, because this is about where, just like when Kiribayama got this high up, this is about where he had trouble.
Yep.
This is about where it hits. Now the meat grinder that's the point where you're gonna sink or swim, but if there's gonna be resistance in the water, we're gonna see it here.
Yep. This is the first real test for him. So next we have Takafuji drops down for Myogiryu 5e 6 and 9. He's a pretty stable presence in terms of he does very well in the middle section. And he has an opportunity to play foil here and there, but he's just sort of the stable presence in the middle, and anybody who's coming up has to go through him. Anybody who's on the way down has to defeat him in order to not drop any further. He's sort of just like a fixed point.
Yep.
In the tournament, and so you don't worry too much, at least not right now. We had a moment where we were worried. You don't worry too much about the 6 and 9.
No, I feel like 7's a good number for him. That's a bit of a sweet spot. It's sort of where he can be comfortable. He's good enough to be a 7.
Yes.
I think. So.
Take a little of the pressure off.
Take a little of the pressure off. And do his own thing. His brand of sumo. Definitely the whole A-B thing going up there, that's not going to do well for him.
No.
That's a bad place for a Takarafuji.
Yeah, he's not in that game anymore.
He's not in that game anymore. Which is nothing wrong with that.
No, eventually you get to the point that he's at.
Yeah.
So I think he'll be fine. I expect probably 8 and 7 or 9 and 6 or something like that, and he'll go up a little bit.
Go up a little bit, go down, up and down, sort of
Yeah, kind of like a scale.
Yeah, bobbing in the water.
Yep. Next, we have one of the surprise members of this last tournament. Kotoeko gets a pretty big jump. Myogiryu 12 East to Myogiryu 7 West. The reason I say it's a big jump is because he was looking like he was going to just fall right out. He was going to be a Juryo man because he was getting these really lopsided records.
Yep. 5 rank bump up from the 9 and 6 too.
They obviously are testing him.
This is a test. Now, they did this to him before.
And it did not work out.
And it did not work out for him. And sort of this, I would say the same thing to him now as I did before, which is just like go into every match and be like, I'm going to learn what I can.
Yeah.
I feel like anything that's not double-digit losses. So if he can get a 6 and 9 from here, I feel like that's progress.
Yeah. Anything that doesn't drop him too far down.
Yep.
I mean, he was really a different kind of guy in this last tournament. I mean, he was lifting people. He had that extra oomph at the edge that just wasn't there in some of these lopsided tournaments.
A lot of turnings and stuff like that.
Yeah, so I don't know if he's trying something new or just he had a really good tournament.
Yeah, and I think that the Banzuke is also curious what's going on with him. So they give him a nice big promotion.
They want to see.
They're like, okay, we saw a spark of something cool there. Let's bump you up a little bit higher than we would normally. We're gonna throw you in deeper waters, and we're gonna see what happens.
I hope that he's gonna put something together because he is he's like one of my little. Like, he's not going to win the tournament necessarily, but he's somebody I'm always rooting for, and I'm always excited when he comes out there. So I'd love to see him actually put it all together and start winning.
Yeah. Well, that would be awesome. I sort of expect him to get kicked around a little bit for where he is.
That's what the pattern would
That would be the pattern to be. Again, I would say 6 and 9 for him is good here. And then anything better than a 6 and 9 is just proving that whatever those little changes are that he's been making have been coming to fruition.
Right.
If he gets an 8 and 7 there, I would be like, whoa.
If he does something like an 8 and 7 or 9 and 6, then you'll know he is making changes.
That's the proof.
We'll know that it wasn't some fluky thing and he ate some extra Wheaties that tournament or something. We'll know that, okay, he's doing something behind the scenes. So, good luck. Hope it works out. Next we have Shimanoumi, Myogiryu 8 East, up from Myogiryu 10 East, 8 and 7. it's been kind of a while since he actually had an improvement.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's been battling injuries for...
His leg had the crazy, like, when the tape, like, wraps around the knee.
Yeah, there's, like, nothing but tape.
It's nothing but, yeah. He's just like, at that point, just wear a cast.
Yeah. It's like, at that point, like, I'm glad you're in here, but that knee doesn't work anymore.
Yeah. So the 8-7 is a sign that he's finally turning it around. Or
hopefully it's healing.
Healing, or pragmatically he got low enough down on the Banzuke that he can just sort of scrape it together with what he had.
Sort of a sad existence if you think about it.
A bit. But, I mean, what is nice is to say that Shimanoumi his basement is 10 East.
Yeah.
Like, I'm getting a lot of, like, sort of glass half full on Shimanoumi in May. And then he's just like, okay, winning score. Okay, rebuild. Knees a little better. New wife, new life. Sort of
let's
turn it
just
around.
See.
Turn it around. Upward climb.
You wake up in the morning, you're like, my knee feels a little bit better today. I'm going to have a good day.
Good day.
I'll say this. One of the things that really helps, because, when you're watching sumo and you're only watching the matches, especially someone like Shimanoumi you're not going to get any interviews with, when we link the sort of yellow cartoon face character where the interstable practices is, apparently that is the official page of Grand Sumo, because they put the English title all of a sudden, then it went back to the Japanese characters. There was a very cool interview with Shimanoumi in there. I didn't understand any of it, but I felt such personality from him. He seems like a very jovial, happy person. And sometimes it helps you get out of the doldrums of, oh, it must be so hard. He's struggling and he must not be having any fun. And you watch one of these interviews and he's being really silly and everybody's laughing, putting their arms around each other, and it's like, okay.
The camaraderie.
The camaraderie is always there, even if there's a struggle, even if you have to seriously battle a guy. And Shimanoumi looked very happy and having a good time, so...
I like that.
There's your glass half full.
They're definitely reading that right.
So, speaking of somebody who definitely needs a glass half full, Terutsuyoshi, he got an 8-7. He's finally, putting together something where he's not going backwards. He needs a lot of work, though.
He's got to break out of that cycle. Now, going from Megashira 11 West to Megashira 8 West on an 8-7, not bad.
Yeah.
Nice scan you got going there.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he's been struggling for so long that...
Yeah. I mean...
nice to throw him a bone once in a
while.
while.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like, whatever. Get it. Let him have it. Yeah. I say. Terutsuyoshi, he needs something at this point.
Yeah, maybe he's too serious or something. I don't know. Being in Terunofuji's stable, maybe he's put so much pressure on himself that he can't actually succeed. Because I think he has a lot more in him than we ever see in the matches.
Clearly. I feel like that's true.
I think we were seeing more from him before Terunofuji's ascent.
Yeah.
But he was still hanging out in Juryo. Terunofuji was in Juryo.
Yeah.
Terutsuyoshi...
He was
his own thing.
7, 6, 5. He was way up there.
Yeah, so I don't know, maybe like that moment of leg picking Aoiyama was just so big that he has had a disappointment ever since in his mind.
Maybe.
Like, oh, I haven't done anything as big as that, and I keep wanting to do something big. And when I try to do something big, crazy stuff happens. Like when he tried to leg pick in the last tournament, and he ends up getting the thigh, and everything just becomes really clumsy. He still won. But it wasn't the perfect leg pick that he pulled on Aoiyama.
So
it's like a once-in-a-lifetime thing.
It is. He's... I don't know if he could get this tournament. I don't know if he could get this year.
Yeah.
He needs something. He needs to figure something out. He needs to get it together. Win, lose, or draw. No one else is doing what he's doing.
No, he sort of occupies his own unique space.
I say that. You have someone else coming for his throat. Coming for his throat. Gonna talk about him later. Very excited. Anyway, Terutsuyoshi, another 8-7 at least would be nice. If you don't, it's fine, I guess. But,
Try to build some momentum. Next we have Kotoshoho, Myogiryu 9 East, up from Myogiryu 14 East, so we got another big bump here. 9-6. He's the guy who, when he first came up, was one of the hype guys. things have gone wrong with injuries and bouncing back. So this is his return to something. What will he return to?
That's the thing. I'm looking at Kotoshoho. I'm like, okay, you're back. Everything's fine. Everything's good.
Hesitating.
I'm like, go. Like, it's sort of like you throw the stick at the dog, and the dog just like freezes. He's like, do I get the stick?
Yeah.
Do I go and run? And you're like, yeah, go run. Go get this.
Okay.
Go. So this is how I feel it is with Kotoshoho. I'm just like, go get the stick. Go fetch. Go run. It's fine. Go.
You're
Be free.
good.
You're free.
Yeah, he's in tentative territory.
Yeah.
It's a question of whether there's some injury or just he lost a lot of confidence.
Yeah, it was definitely both physical and mental. So the fact that not only that he's back in the top division, but he gets a 9-6, means that both of those things are fixed to a degree. And this is towards your point, which is how far is the progress?
Right. We don't know yet, but they gave him a nice little bump.
They're like, okay, we'll put you back to where you were before everything went wrong, and
let's try again.
Try it again. Clean slate for him. And so,
I do have to say, it's gotta stink to be a professional athlete and get an injury, because I think that would mentally screw me up for a long time too. Because every time you hear a little pop, or you land a little awkward, you just have this pure panic in your soul, like, no, not again, no. And in particular, I feel like that's something Takakeisho probably goes through all the time. I hope that's not Kotoshoho's future. Every once in a while someone gets an injury and it heals and you just don't ever have to worry too much about it. So I'm just hoping that's him.
Yeah, but he's so young.
Right, he should have, healing powers and...
Just get out there. Go run and play.
Exactly. Go play with the big boys.
Go into the park. Go make friends.
Exactly. Get out of the house and make some friends.
Yeah, we're like 1950s parents. We're just like, just go run around the neighborhood.
When the street lights come back on, you can come home.
Yeah.
I don't want to see your face.
I don't see you
until the street lights come back on.
Exactly.
Now we have nothing but optimism to talk about with Tochinoshin. That may be totally different after this tournament.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, there's a potential for this to be the last great happy feeling. But I have to say, 9-6, I never thought he was going to get a 9-6 again.
We thought it was a slow fade to black, but then he gets that 9-6. And he got Kachikoshi in like day 10.
Yeah.
Like with room to spare. There was no
struggle. I mean, there was... He probably struggles to some degree, but not like he was struggling before. And then he shows up at the interstable practice. And watching him was very fascinating because he definitely was there just to give himself a little boost. Mm-hmm. He did a little bit of practice. He spent most of the time on the side stretching. But there was some desire, for whatever his reasons are, to be around everybody and be a part of something. And I don't know if it was, he just felt like, hey, you know what? I've been stuck in my stable for too long. I want to do this. Or if he's like, maybe I can build some momentum. Maybe I can stay in a little bit longer if I do a little bit of this training. And it was really cool to watch the younger guys fight against him because he's so big.
He's so big and strong.
And as they're pushing him, and Tochinoshin is doing the Japanese screaming. Boy, it sounds way different coming out of him than it does a Japanese man, I have to say. He actually was making me a little nervous. He's screaming at him and push harder, or whatever they're saying. And I'm like, man, he is intimidating. And then he'd get done and he'd be all smiling and talking to Aoiyama on the side. And it was nice, for once, not to be writing an obituary for his career. It felt like the old days a little bit.
I mean, that is what's nice about Myogiryu 9 West is, if this is the final high point, and I would love it to not be the final high point, I would love him to make a little, to make eyes a little bit higher, and before he goes back down, if he does a 7-8, a 6-9, we've got him through the end of 2022, baby. We've got him in the bag.
That alone, I mean, he was at Myogiryu 15 West. He's able to push himself up to 9 West and just give us the margin to see him more. He's definitely got to be thinking about the end of his career. But it's interesting, and I'll get into it. I didn't know Aoiyama was planning to become Japanese. So I thought, like, when his career was over, he's going back to Bulgaria. For all we know, Tochinoshin is going to do it. I don't think he is. Everything I've ever heard from him is that he's going to go back to Georgia. But he could surprise us, and he's planning to stay in Japan. They don't talk about it till it's done.
Usually they don't until it's done. It could take years.
Right, so that's another factor. Maybe he's trying to stay in because he's decided to become Japanese. I don't know. But it's nice. It feels good.
Feels good.
Nice feel-good story.
When it comes to Tochinoshin, any feel-good story from here on out, you just grab it. You grab it.
That's right. You hold on to it for dear life.
You do.
So, very exciting. Can't wait to see him in the next tournament. No idea what he's going to do, but as long as he's somewhat standing on that leg, I'm really happy. So next we have Okinoumi, down from Maegashira 7 West, Maegashira 10 East, 5 and 10. It does look like the slow fade.
A bit of a slow fade. I'd love to explain away Okinomi's recent slump with, it's just, he's tired. It's injured. Or he's tired. It's just bad stuff. He get the COVID. Whatever. It's just like, down here, you are too low for any of those excuses.
Yeah.
Okinoumi, if you do not do well at 10, it's a fade. And there's nothing I can say against that. Yeah. And it's like Okinoumi, he's been so good.
Right. This sort of felt like it came out of nowhere.
It did. I was like, okay, like there's some people, like you have Myogiryu, we'll get to him in a little bit. Like this Tochinoshin, like we mentioned, Aoiyama, all these people are mentioning, we're just like, we've seen this coming. And so we don't like it, but like there's precedence. So now when Okinoumi, all of a sudden, the bottom's dropped out of him, we're like, I'm not ready for that, Okinoumi.
Right, we weren't seeing the pattern.
No. So at 10 East, it's like, if it's the Okinoumi we know, that we think we know, it's fine. He's going to smash people. Right,
and he'll just eliminate all the doubts in this next
No doubt. It'll be fine. It'll be like Takarafuji all over again. He's like, oh no, it's fine. He just had a bad Basho.
Right, unlike the Chiyos.
Ooh boy, that's a.
Are you in the Team Chiyo camp?
Ugh.
Because that fell apart real quick.
No, it does not make me happy.
Or even like I say camp.
Yeah, I think his ankle's still problems. Anyway.
Yeah,
Okinoumi, come on, let's see it.
Do it Tochinoshin.
Yeah, do it Tochinoshin. I was just like, he's just playing possum. He's just gonna wake up and he's just gonna just throw.
Exactly.
He's gonna just. I'm almost excited for how much he's going to prove this wrong.
Right. Sometimes you want to be proven so wrong.
Yeah.
You, celebrate your.
Yeah. I was just like, come on, just egg on my face. Let's go, Okinoumi.
Prove me that I'm so stupid.
Oh, I want to feel terrible about this later.
Which Nishikigi. What? How old is he?
Find out.
He the same? I want to see if he's the same age as Okinoumi.
No. I think he was in 32.
Okay, he's not quite as old as I thought actually, but still, 32 is elder statesman.
Yeah, he's getting up there. He sort of faded away, and then we're like, I
forgot all about him.
Yeah, well,
he's in Juryo.
He's in Juryo. Well, there is that group of people, like, they go down to Juryo, and then they don't come back, and they're just like, yeah, it's like, it's Enho. It's just, he's just down there now.
Right, that's where he lives.
That's where he lives. And so, like, Nishikigi just lives there, and then he came back in March, and I was just like, hey, good to see you again. And then he did really well in March. I'm like, whoa.
Now he's got a nice 6-rung jump.
Nice 6-rung jump. Like, and that he earned every step of that, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah,
that was
absolutely.
Some good sumo out of him. I was like, what?
That's the part where you can never really count somebody out, even as they're older, because who would have thought Nishikigi would do that?
He's turned it around. There was this trend of people just like putting their foot down. They're like, I'm just going to do good sumo now.
Yeah.
Oh, they're floundering nonsense. I don't know what I was thinking.
Well, there's these different generations of wrestler, right? So you've got the new generation that thinks a certain way, and you have the old generation who thinks a certain way, and this is how the cycles go. Sometimes the old generation just gets pissed off, and they want to show what they can do. Yeah. They want to show those whippersnappers, you're not training hard enough, or you're not as good as I am, or I had harder competition than you had right now. So let me show you up.
Let me show you up. Nishikigi, keep showing us up. I feel like the way he started, like that is propulsion upwards.
Yeah,
and so it's to a lesser extent, but a similar vein is like with Wakamotoharu, and that Wakamotoharu just like, well, 9-6, he just did well one tournament. I was just like, he's not gonna do that again, is he? And then he does. I'm like, ooh, we got something here. So Nishikigi, like, he's in that phase 2 right now. It's like, if he gets another 9-6, I'm like, ooh.
Now we'll see what happens.
Now, like, now. Before you had my curiosity, now you have my attention.
Exactly. So we'll see. He'll be fighting Okinoumi. He'll be fighting Tochinoshin. He'll be fighting Kotoshoho. Where they make friends.
Yeah.
So
nice.
Kotoshoho might need some Nishikigi in his life.
A little bit.
Show him some ropes.
Get the rivalry.
So next we have your guy Aoiyama. I'm sure 11 he's down for my sure 10 he's 7-8. I mean, he's been struggling for a while. He's definitely got injuries. He's up there in age. 7-8 is not necessarily the worst thing.
No.
Considering his struggles. And he was at the inner stable. I was shocked, and he trained a lot while he was there. He was making those young guys work. I was laughing.
Yeah,
they were exhausted trying to push him.
They could not move him.
And he was just like, get up, do it again. I was like, oh, I missed this.
It's hilarious because in some of the clips, like, I didn't watch much of it, but like I did see the Aoiyama parts for obvious reasons. But like these guys would be struggling, just trying to move it. It looked like Aoiyama was just like dead weighting them. Like he wasn't even trying.
He was dead weighting them.
And I was just like, you can't just pick them up.
He's got that mean streak in him. Like, I don't know if he showed up to troll.
It's beautiful.
Like, oh, come on, young guys. You think you can push? Try to push me?
Yeah.
Because he's not in their stable. They're not used to pushing someone as big as him.
If this is somebody who, wants to stick around and start training, this is a sign that he's starting already. Yeah. It's good stuff. So, optimistically, assuming he sticks around and doesn't retire up as soon as he gets his Elder's Dark or whatever.
Right.
If you look around all the people nearby who've been getting Kachikoshis 8-7, 9-6, and they just get pole vaulted up, like Tochinoshin went up 6 rungs on a 9-6.
Yeah.
Terutsuyoshi goes up like 3-4 rungs on an 8-7. So Aoiyama just needs a 8-7.
Right.
And they're just throw him back up.
Right.
The problem is, can he get it?
Right.
And that's his gas tank has been just, somebody put a screwdriver to it and it's just leaking.
Yeah. But him hanging out and he was spending all that time with Tochinoshin, and they got this kid.
Yeah. So it's just like as soon as Aoiyama gets that 8 wins, like she's 9, he's 8.
They're in the same stable, aren't they?
Yes.
Okay.
I actually looked this up. This was a curiosity for me because I know there's usually a rule that there's only one non-Japanese person per stable.
Right.
Aoiyama's original stable closed,
so
and he transferred over.
I wondered how they...
Or the other way around. But
yeah, I wondered how they pulled that off.
Yeah, at first I'm just like, was there some sort of a back, like, sort of a, we'll do a second one for you, we have to do something else. It's just that either Aoiyama or Tochinoshin was part of a different stable. That stable closed and merged in the same way that Takanohama's stable closed and merged. And that was how 2 non-Japanese wrestlers were got into the same stable at once.
It was kind of funny seeing them sit over on the side and like channel each other's, because they're both having a very similar struggle at the same time. So perhaps Tochinoshin's success is going to rub off on Aoiyama. Because if Tochinoshin can do it, I think Aoiyama can do it. I know they have different injuries, but... Yeah,
I feel like 8 wins at minimum is not impossible for Aoiyama, particularly at 11. It's just a matter of how much gas is in the tank.
Right. How much can you actually pull out of yourself?
How much can you pull out? Is he gonna? I don't know. Maybe it'll be a 7 and 8. Maybe it'll just be a few more 7s and 8s. But then it just needs that one little bit.
He could 7 and 8 the rest of the year and stay.
Probably. I mean, very likely we're going to see both Tochinoshin and Aoiyama for the rest of the year.
Because we have Myogiryu 17s now. I remember when we first started watching, it only went to 15. So you got all these extra spots.
Got some more. Yeah, got some leeway.
So next we have Chiyoshoma down from Myogiryu 8 East to Myogiryu 11 West. 5 and 10 at Myogiryu 8 East. It does seem like something's gone wrong. He's finally ran out of magic tricks. I feel like it's sort of. Is it the Terutsuyoshi effect, or like he did all the tricks for so long and now everybody knows what they are? Maybe. I don't know how it is. It just
It's always been sort of an anomaly for me.
That he
got up to like major of 5 and he was still doing well. I was like, I don't understand any of this. I'm just gonna not bother trying to figure it out. I think that he's finally, maybe people figured him out. Maybe he's, just losing an edge. Maybe it's like Okinoumi that he's just starting to fade. Just tired. But now he's officially low enough down that I'm like, okay, we do need to pay attention now.
We need to put him on the...
Need to have an eye.
Yeah,
now,
because he's a potential for dropping into Juryo and never coming back.
Yeah, so on the flip side, for somebody who's that far up the Banzuke, 11 should be pretty easy pickings for him. I mean, like, if you look around, there's a
lot of beat up people.
A lot of beat up people who are probably in worse shape than he is, so he could probably be fine.
But the question is he one of the beat up people?
Well, that's the problem, isn't it?
Yeah. With him, you don't see the injury also.
I feel like he's finally low enough that he's just like, oh, okay, fine, I'll do it properly. I mean, that's also part of it. Like, he's been doing, like, legit sumo. Like,
right, he took a lot of the hankas out.
Yeah. Like, he's been, like, and doing well. And, like, it's not like he took the hankas out and he started losing. It's like he took the hankas out and started winning, and then he was just getting wrecked anyway.
And that's sometimes how it works.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes the tricks don't work. So we'll have to see. I mean, at this point in Maegashira 11 West, he can't mess around too much.
That's the thing. It's like, I'm not worried about him, but it's just like, oh, those are double digits. Okay, guys.
Like, you might see the hankas come back.
Maybe.
It's just simply, like, it's a stable thing for him. But people know how to read it, too. There was a couple of hankas where, like, either they hanked him, or they caught him right in midair and be like, you're done.
You're done.
So, may not be able to save him. But we'll see. Then we have another fading star, Myogiryu. He's down only 1, 12 East, 7 and 8. So it wasn't a crazy free fall. Like, he was starting a free fall, and he sort of just, held on tight.
He's holding up a little bit.
Fingernails on the edge of the cliff. But he's running out of time and space to keep having records like that. Yeah,
I am a little worried about Myogiryu because I'm looking at the bottom of the Banzuke, and you can tell there's some people who are clawing upwards. They want higher, or they're falling down and they're like, I don't know. So Okinoumi and Chiyoshoma, we just talked about them. Like, either of those guys could probably beat Myogiryu to keep themselves from going down. And then you're looking at Meisei. Meisei's just like, no, guys, I'm fine. He's gonna beat Myogiryu. Then you look at Oho, who's just like, okay, this time when I'm top division, I'm gonna make it count. So all these people here, Myogiryu is at risk of just getting pulled out to sea in the riptide.
Right.
And then he'll just wake up in Juryo. So he needs that. He needs to regroup. He needs to sort of like get that energy back, that 8-0 energy, that 10 and 1 energy. He needs to sort of figure that out again.
And that's one of those things. One of the reasons the fade happens is it's not, you can't fight on a given day. It gets harder and harder to fight 15 days.
Mm-hmm.
So things don't go exactly right in the beginning. You're going to get a 5 and 10 because you're going to get tired by the end, and you can't beat the guys you might have been able to beat in week 1.
Yeah.
So he's got to have so much energy that he throws a huge momentum in, so that when the second week fatigue comes in, he's built himself a nice cushion.
He needs a cushion. He needs something. He needs to stop the bleeding.
Yep. And he has a partner in that with Sadanoumi, Maegashira 12 West, down from Maegashira 8 West, 5 and 10. He's not like Myogiryu or Okinoumi, where we've seen this like slide that's been coming for a while. But still, once you start to get into the 12 territory, you can't mess around. You gotta figure it out.
Chiyoshoma and Sadanoumi, I'm sort of, they're both in the bad spot, but I feel a little better about them.
It's not a worry.
So Sadanoumi, so he had the 5 and 10, but that was a 5 and 10 that he was fighting his heart out every single day. So
right, wasn't fading away.
Spirited losses, really, really like high energy, good sumo. So like I look at Sadanoumi, I'm just like, okay, maybe he's not making sure 8 material, because just like in January, we were like, ooh, Sadanoumi, he's making his moves. He's making his way back up. He's going to be right in there with Okinoumi. Ironically, he still is, but like
not in the way that we
not
thought.
in the way that we thought. Like, we were like, you know, like, we were thinking, like, maybe there were 5 Okinoumi. We were like, oh, Sadanoumi's going to stake his claim.
They're going to bring the band together.
They're going to bring the band together. We did that whole thing. I mean, then the band...
The band just broke up.
I mean, the band all went down. But...
They fell off the stage.
They fell off the stage all together. So... And, like, so, I mean, Sadanoumi is a little bit too low to have another 5 and 10, but I feel like Sadanoumi's not going to have a 5 and 10.
Right, he'll probably squeak out.
He'll probably find 8, 7, 9, 6, maybe 7 and 8, but I'm not as worried about him. I feel like his sumo spirit is still burning, so...
Right, it's not a flame flicker.
No fade.
Unlike our next guy...
Yeah, speaking.
The Chiyos, we talked about those Chiyos. Chiyotairyu down from Myogiryu 12 West to Myogiryu 13 East. It was a 7 and 8, but the Chiyos are struggling. Particularly Chiyotairyu. He never recovered from the trying to lose weight, change his style. He's just somewhat, it seems like a schizophrenic type of sumo.
Well, for Chiyotairyu, it's, you know, step 1, push. Did you get him out? No? Step 2, pull. That work? Figure something out.
Right, there's nothing left.
That's what he has. I mean, like at this point in the game, like, that's his trick.
Right, when he was younger, he had enough power that most of the time he was going to knock somebody out. Yeah. Now that's not working anymore. So not only has he been just struggling to get his own game together, 2 of his teammates are out. Yep.
And like when you have 2 teammates, you had Chiyotairyu, Chiyomaru. I mean, technically he still has Chiyoshoma, so we're not Chiyo-less.
But it's not the same. It's
but
not
like,
5 years ago when everybody was up together.
Yeah, well, it's also, I mean, there's the camaraderie. It's just like, you know, you're going up against Takayama, and then Shionokuni fights Takayama, and Shionokuni will come to you afterwards. It's like, Takayama's left leg's looking real weak. You just put him on him, you know, just put the pressure on that, you'll probably do well.
Right, exactly.
You know? You don't got that edge.
A little
whisper in your ear. So I feel like that, when you have like a group of people like that, also then it's the Terutsuyoshi effect. Like you can't help each other out by fighting other people. So like there's
right, and they all were sort of in the same ranking.
Yeah, they're all in the same cluster. I feel like there's a lot. I feel like Chiyotairyu, like the odds are stacked against him.
Right, he's probably headed for Juryo.
I mean, like I like seeing him. He will have those flashes of brilliance. He just blasts someone out. And then sometimes like you'll look at the guy and he's like, what happened? I was like, sorry, buddy, this guy's got a good tat shot if you don't pay attention. So like
don't like take a breath at the wrong moment.
He'll get you. But I don't know. I feel like compared to like Sadanoumi,
he looks like he's like just flailing out there.
I don't know. I'm not getting good feelings. I feel like Chiyotairyu is going to need some help.
Yeah, but we'll see. I mean, maybe there'll be some inspiration of some sort.
Well, this is the time.
This is the time.
You can turn it around. Now's a good time to try some really crazy nonsense.
Yeah. See what happens. Next we have Meisei. So 1 and 14. Before I found out about the injury, I was like, what in the world happened? So it turns out he had a back injury. And what are you going to do? That would explain a 1 and 14. If your back is all screwed up the entire tournament, yeah, you're going to get pushed out.
Yeah.
Like, all it's going to take is it stiffens up at the wrong moment, you're out. He was at the interstable practice. He spent a lot of time talking to Takayasu, which I found interesting. They were off to the side having all these little conversations, and Takayasu was and then the coach actually came over and was talking to Meisei too. So with any hope, the back injury is okay. Backs are tricky because once you get injured, they never really go away. But hopefully whatever was going on is settled. And then we have a different conversation with Meisei. Yes, he struggled off and on to, get better than Sanyaku, but at the same time, he's not a 1 in 14 guy typically. So I think we gotta sort of start over with him and see what happens.
It's rough for Meisei to be this far down to hit rock bottom. So this is they dumped him. No, he was 1 in 14 in fairness.
Yes.
Yeah. So I'm looking at Meisei the same way I looked at Hokutofuji when he injured out. Like, this is just free game for him.
Yeah.
Like, Meisei, would you like a free special prize?
Yeah.
Would you like a fighting spirit award? Would you like
$20,000?
Would you like $20,000? I've got a trick for you. It's called being in Megashira 13 West.
Yeah.
You're
so
welcome.
on one hand, it really sucks, but on the other hand, you might get $20,000.
Yeah. So, like, for all intents and purposes, Meisei's still Sanyaku material.
Yeah.
So he's just going to make everybody's lives around him miserable.
Yeah, I mean, he looked pretty fired up in the practice. Like, I gotta show. Like, that could not have felt good going 1-14.
No.
I'm actually surprised he didn't just drop out if the back was that bad, but that shows you something about who he is.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I mean, I expect, unless the injury is not recoverable yet, he's just gonna come in and we're gonna see a totally different. You know, even if he goes 11-4, he's not gonna be in contention. But he might put himself right back up in my sheer.
Well, this is the problem, is that he's not going to be part of the Team A or Team B until the end of the year. It's going to take him another 2 tournaments to make up for this. Yep. So that sucks, and that's just
how injuries go.
How Sumo goes. Sumo, the
1 minute you're the king, and the next minute you're in a tracksuit. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So there it is. Sorry, Meisei, but. How's $20,000 and, 4 months from now you get to fight for your old rank again. It's a bit rough.
At least it's not Aoiyama. So
next tournament's his last one of the suspension.
It'll be nice, actually. We won't be able to talk about him, but it'll be nice to see him, instead of like every tournament, okay, he's a non-factor, coming back up. To have something to discuss.
Well, I mean, we said it was going to be 2023.
That is so crazy to me.
It's
crazy that much time has passed, and it's crazy to see how much has changed, and it's going to be even crazier to see him come back.
Well, this is what we were interested about, is that he was just going to be this time capsule. We're just chuck a year into the future. Like, what's the world going to be like in a year?
Yeah.
We're getting there.
You're digging up the yard. And like,
yeah, we're seeing the change as we go. This is going to be it. So, but, in any case, Meisei will be in the mix in a year. It just, regrettably, it'll take him 6 months to get there.
Yep. Next we have Oho, back from Juryo, 10-5. He did everything he had to do to show that he doesn't belong staying in Juryo.
Yeah.
I mean, he had an unfortunate collapse.
It was rough, but this is.
Now that's water under the bridge, and we can get to start over again.
This is the good. That the jitters do get the better of us sometimes.
Yes.
So, you just couldn't get that 8th win. There was the wall. But now the thing is, he's gotten out. It's out of the way.
Yep.
Now, I will say I will be crossing my fingers and holding my breath
until... It could happen again.
I don't want to say it out loud. But what I will say is, once he gets 8 wins, I will be very happy. And then everything after that is just gravy. So it's just for Oho. It's just like I'm just gonna cheer like a.
It should be a positive experience.
This time. Yeah. I'm feeling like he got the, and this is sort of what we were talking about with Nishikigi and Wakamotoharu. Is that like when you come back into the top division or when you're there for the first time, it's always this weird new place. Right. How are you gonna deal with it? How are you gonna handle it?
Disoriented. But on the other hand, like I said, we have Megashira 17. So even if he gets a 7 and 8 this tournament, it doesn't mean automatically back to Juryo this time.
In a way, that's kind of nice because
it'll take that jitter away.
Yeah, it takes the jitter away also because when he was, to your point, when he was last time he was here, he was way low.
Right.
So he does have that buffer.
Right. There's a buffer in here, so I think he won't have a reason.
And that buffer did save a couple other people that we'll talk about.
There's some people down there that are. Very favorable.
We're going to talk about them in a little bit.
Oh, yeah. So, we'll see what Oho's got. He's sort of the mystery man in the sense that we haven't seen...
Unproven.
We haven't seen what he is capable of actually happen in the upper division. Obviously, a 10-5 in Juryo, as Juryo 1 East, is impressive. So we know he's got the potential to do something. Next, we have Takayama, 7 and 8. They kept his rank.
I feel like the Banzuke committee is like us, that they really, really want him to do better, and they're just like, well, just gotta give it to him.
We gotta give him something.
Gotta give him something. I feel like our earnest prayers have been heard.
He works really hard. He tries really hard. He's not dogging it down there.
No.
So, I mean, I have no issue with somebody getting a bone once.
I'm fine. Hey, I'm fine with it. I also feel that there were now 7 and 8 means it didn't all come together, but I felt like there was change.
There was some
in March.
Sort of...
It felt like things were connecting in a way that hasn't really for Takayama before. I'm hoping that now again, like when you've got these physical, mental, emotional, whatever trans-dimensional issues Takayama has, like sometimes there's just too many things that need to align for it to work out well. But I felt like some of those things were working.
Right.
There were signs.
There were signs of him not just falling apart.
Yeah. So maybe he doesn't need the bailout. Maybe he gets the 8 and 7. Maybe he does it on his own. I feel like it's in the cards this time around.
There's definitely signs that it's possible.
Signs that I mean, he's still the Shakespearean tragedy. So I feel a little conflicted. It's just like I feel like if I hope too much, it'll fall apart. But at the same time, like if I don't hope enough, then it falls apart. So I have to. Where's the middle ground?
Yeah, there's definitely a balance there.
There's some like very thin line that I can support Takayama and it's not going to harm him.
Right, exactly. It's like we'll be cautious about our
very
support.
Cautious about support. Just platitudes, bowing.
Glad to see you're here.
Glad to see you're here. Do your best. Go forward. Stick to your brand of sumo.
Exactly.
It's just go down the list, and then hopefully he reads between the lines.
I have a good feeling. I want to knock on wood again.
Yeah, knocking. A lot of knocking.
A lot of knocking in this podcast. Next we have Azumaryu, Myogiryu 15 East, up from Jiryu 2 East, 10 and 5 also. Been a long time since he's been up in Myogiryu. Once again, is this the band getting back together? These veterans who are like making these last minute.
Yeah, he's. I looked into this because I'm like, I know I've seen him in the top division, but I didn't remember like the beginning of 2020 he poked his head up.
Okay.
And then like 2018, 2019 he had a stint. So. Well, the fact that we don't remember all that much is probably telling a little bit.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's just like he's a Jiryu regular who sort of does like do like the groundhog, peek out of his hole to look at the top division,
make a little extra, and go back down.
Yeah. I am getting that vibe. But what I will say, one, I love to be proven wrong.
Yep.
Two, I like it when you have these people who are sort of like the newer faces that people don't. They're like, oh, Azumaryu, what does he do again?
Right, exactly. Sort of like a refresher.
So refresher. I love this veteran resurgence. Just these people in their 30s who are just like, I'm top division material now. You try and stop me.
Right, like prove yourself.
Prove me.
Young guy. Interesting. He was at the interstable practice.
Oh.
I didn't see him. I did not actually see him on the dohyo. So I don't know if I missed it because I missed part of I was watching it live. I missed part of it, but he was there. And I was like, this is interesting. Like, did everybody just wake up and say, I'm going to show up to this? Or was there, like, some sort of collaboration with the veterans? Like, hey, let's go crash the young people's, practice.
It was interesting that it was so crowded.
Yeah.
I'll have to ruminate on that.
Yeah, I was like, whoa, this feels like a 2017 situation.
Maybe no Hakuho.
I think that's it. I think a lot of people didn't show up because Hakuho was there. Like I said, the last time Takakeisho did one, Hakuho showed up, and you could see, like, Takakeisho's like, because he's this, he's got to look up to him, and he's going to be called out, and Hakuho beat the living tar out of him, like he does to Enho, like he did to Ishihara, just beat Takakeisho until there was nothing left. Why would someone like Tochinoshin show up knowing that Hakuho was going to be there?
No way.
You know what I mean?
No way.
And luckily for all these guys, Terunofuji's not that kind of Yokozuna.
No.
He's like, I'm not showing up to that. I'll show you up in the ring. So anyway, Azumaryu, at least getting in the spirit of things.
In the mix. That's all we can ask for.
And next we have Ichi Yamamoto, Myogiryu 15 West, up from 17 West. He was on the border. And he survived enough, but geez, he only went up to 15 West, versus like Obo, who's coming back in at 14 West. So he still doesn't have that much buffer.
He keeps doing this thing that it's just, he's so streaky.
He's streaky.
He's so streaky. It's just, guy, please, some consistency. When he came originally, he came up and was just like, oh wow, he's got the stuff. But like every time he keeps doing this weird 8 and 7, loses 5 times in a row, the more I'm just like, did you scam me?
Yeah,
buddy, I feel like I've been conned.
Are you the Tobizaru? Were you going to go on here?
No, I like everything about what he does. His story's good. The push guy with belt sumo's good.
Has a sort of interesting body.
There's like every piece of Ichi Yamamoto. I'm like, I'm here for this, and it's just like he doesn't need to be Yokozuna. He's fine the way he is.
Right, just do some
fine
stuff.
the way he is. It's like, but dude, you're gonna be in Juryo. Keep doing this mess. I can't see you. I can't see you. You can't talk about people in Juryo for that long. I don't know. He's giving me stress.
I know. He's a stressful boy.
There's a lot of stress with this boy. So I need him to just drive forward and don't stop. Don't panic pull.
Just try something.
Just get him.
He needs to go to the park too.
He needs to go to the park. Yeah.
Him and Kotoshoho.
Kotoshoho, Nishikigi. Just go run around. Have a play date. Get in there.
Talk about things. So next we have probably the worst. Like my heart is so crushed over this. It just isn't. We talk about it. It is what it is, but it sucks.
It sucks.
There's nothing good about this. Ishiura makes it all the way up to career high Myogiryu 5 West, gets the spine injury, and they drop him all the way down to 16 East. Ugh.
This is so. Meisei 1 and 14 loses 10 ranks. Ishiura 2-7 and 6 loses 11 ranks.
Yeah, it's like
I'm not. Far be it for me to
tit
for tat these people, particularly because making the Banzuke is just unenviable. But like usually, if people come back while they're injured, like they'll recognize the fighting spirit. They give him something. They gave him nothing.
Yeah, they were cold.
They dumpstered him. I'm like, guys, what are you doing?
Is this like a slap at Hakuho or something?
I don't know. But I feel like Ishiura's been done dirty by the injury, by losing all this stuff. Now, to be fair, like even if he was like, making sure 14 or whatever, they bumped him too higher up. Like it's still
horrible.
It still sucks.
But it's like, man, you just added in, like you gave all these other guys a little bone, and you just said to him,
"No bones for you, buddy.
Bones.
No bones. Just go fight." I was like, oh god.
And what stinks about the injury he had, that's the same injury Takakeisho got against Ichinojo. That's a lingerer.
It's a linger.
That's not one that's going to just go away.
Such a bummer.
So they put him all the way down where there's no buffer. If that injury isn't healed, he's back in Juryo.
Just mad.
Yeah, like could he have Oho spot?
God.
Like, switch Oho and
give him Azumaryu spot. God,
give him a little buffer. I mean,
throw me a freaking bone here.
It's not like he performed bad because he stunk. He got an injury.
I don't know. I feel like I can get real stuck on this if I want to.
Yeah, because like you were saying with Meisei, Ishiura's gonna have to work so hard.
It's so much harder. Yeah, I mean, it's like okay, you gave you Takayama something. Some people got things. You gave us something for Tochinoshin. Just like, where do I draw the line? I don't know. Then I get all spun out, and here I am, just super mad.
Well, it's just so sad because I'm sure Ishiura was really pumped to be Myogiryu 5.
We were like, this guy's turned a corner. He figured it out. Something worked.
And this is why I get so upset about injuries. Because they have the ability to demoralize and crush like nothing else.
But it's just a stink pile.
Especially because Ishiura's not the type to get injured that much.
No.
So I think it was just unfortunate.
It's a big old mess. But if Ishihara brings half of the stuff that got him Mega Shira 5,
he should be able to beat everybody.
Should be okay. Should be okay. I mean, we're not talking free special prizes like Meisei, but we're saying
he can at least start
9 and
progress.
6, 10 and 5, back to where he should be. But again, like you said, how's the neck?
That particular injury.
How's the neck?
Because it was something in the spine. It was one of the discs, and those don't heal that.
It's real. Like it comes down to, please don't let it end like this.
Yeah, especially because the Tachi is what causes these issues.
Yeah.
You're in a sport where you're constantly putting yourself in the position to injure that spot again.
Yeah. But
we'll see.
I mean,
That's
so this is the judgment of May. One way or the other, we're gonna find out this test of heart for Ishihara.
This is a test of heart.
Will he pass? He didn't want it. We didn't want it. They just threw it at him. It was like, okay, well, guess this is what you get.
There's always got to be a sad tale.
Got to be something, man. Can't be roses all day. I wouldn't. Heaven forbid.
Love it.
Heaven forbid. Top to bottom's a good deal.
Yeah, right.
It wouldn't be Sumo then.
Well, next we have Midorifuji, who he's had his own troubles.
Yeah.
He was like doing good, gets the hernia, can't get the surgery because you can't take time off in Sumo. Fighting with this hernia down in Juryo, and then I didn't know if we were ever going to see him back. He's back, and he had a 12-3. So perhaps we're seeing the Midorifuji that was here a while ago.
If the 12-3 from Juryo tells me that's the Midorifuji that was like the honeyed promise from days before, because Midorifuji he was just injured.
Right.
He's again,
wasn't because he like started sucking.
Yeah, it wasn't like the Enho arms race.
Yeah.
That people just figured Enho out and he just got thrashed. This is Midorifuji doing fine, getting injured, not taking time out to deal with the injury. Gosh darn it! Don't.
Right. Like, what are you gonna do with a hernia as a sumo wrestler?
But anyway, I'm looking at this. I'm like, he's back. And if he does well enough, he's going to put all those tricksters on notice. And then we get Midorifuji versus Terutsuyoshi. Then we get Midorifuji versus Tobizaru. Then we get Midorifuji versus Ura.
Yes.
And then we get all those fights that we've been wanting.
Right.
So
we needed him back.
I'm like, this is, going from the lowest of lows to the highest of highs.
Yes.
Sort of. Now, he still has to fight the damn things. We don't know how.
We don't know what shape he's in.
We don't know what shape he's in. We don't know if this is just everything worked well for him in March and now May's going to all fall apart. I am very optimistic. I feel like the promise we were given of Midorifuji in the past has yet to be realized, and now we can finally get it back.
Which would be nice.
Finally get it back.
So, good positive note after the Ishihara situation. And, he's a big question mark, but we will look forward to seeing his matches. Next, we have Kotokuzan. Megashira 17 East, down from 16 West. He was spared.
Now, Kotokuzan and Kageaki I had both pegged for getting dumped down.
Yeah.
And there's two parts to this that are very interesting. One, they decided that Chiyomaru, who is 13 East...
Yeah.
With the 5 and 10, gets the dump before either Kotokuzan or Kageaki. I'm
right,
like,
you got two guys there that should have been demoted.
Don't know about that. And two, Hidenoumi gets an 8 and 7 at Juryo 2 West and doesn't get the nod.
Now, I'm sure that's because of the scandal.
Two things on that. One, there was the scandal, which probably... Two... His final match, the day 15 match, was against Ichiyamamoto. So that was the swivel match. They like doing this.
They like saying, you fight for your spot.
You fight for your spot. So even though Hidenoumi got the 8 and 7, because he lost the match against the guy in the top division.
It was already determined.
So, in a way, they sort of did it in a way that they sort of washed their hands of it.
Right.
So I thought the 8 and 7 would have been, it's good enough. He used to be, because on paper, like, he used to be in the top division. 2 East, 8 and 7, just give it them. But
it's never a numbers game completely.
Always can't look at the numbers. It never tells the whole story.
No, they literally got like a binder when you look at each one of these guys and say, oh, well, he might have an 8 and 7, but let's follow this line that says scandal.
Yeah.
Let's follow this line that says lost to a top division guy.
Yeah.
Let's follow this line that says this guy needs a bone. It's like a math equation.
Yeah.
Or something.
So the math works for Kotokuzan. Circling back around, I feel like this is sort of a state. This is more of a rain check on his return to Juryo than it is.
Yeah.
But for better or for worse, like we were saying, it's about Oho. Like that, you get those jitters. Some people, the pressure's a lot. So maybe Kotokuzan can sort of do what Oho will hopefully likely be doing, and just say, okay, that first tournament, it's behind me now.
He's still on the line.
Still on the line.
We'll see.
So he can't mess around. That being said, if he has a strong showing, if he's able to get that flaily slappy stuff to work,
then he could.
Then he can build. Then he can go up. I don't know how far up, but
an 8 and 7 and a 7 and 8.
right.
One thing goes right, and you've got the other way around.
Yep.
Next is Kageyaki, and he is. He should have been put down to Juryo. There's no question. They definitely did this on purpose. They definitely were trying to give him a bone.
They're trying. I don't know who he paid off. I'm frankly honest.
Well, he was in that Sumo movie that was all over Japan. So, maybe there's something there.
Maybe. I don't know. What?
This is a relationship thing, I think, because he doesn't look good. It isn't even just the 7 and 8. He doesn't look good.
I feel he
wasn't ready to come back.
He wasn't Kageyaki. Still, he's that whatever that spark is. He needs to find it to figure that out. That whatever that little thing is, it still eludes him.
It would be fascinating to find out what's wrong with him.
There's some. Now he is in the same stable as Ryuden.
But Ryuden's coming up.
You think that would be a motivator? Ryuden won Juryo, but he was too low down to get the nod back up.
And he himself has scandals, so they're going to make sure that he crawls his way back. Yeah. Begs to get back.
He'll be back.
He'll be back. But they're not going to give it. They're not going to give him no free will.
No free will. Yeah, but I suppose if we're gonna rag on Kageyaki, really, all we really need to do is just step back and let nature take its course.
And we're not ragging on him because we don't like him.
Yeah, there's been
a lot of time now where something's got to change.
Yeah, that Kageyaki who is Megashira 5, 6, that guy
mainstay for a while.
That guy's gone. That guy has been replaced.
He's a shell of a human as far as wrestling.
So he needs to just get that back on, whatever that is. Get back to that 5, 6 life where he's just bullying people.
This is the part where sumo could be stifling. If you're like a tennis player, you can get a new coach and it isn't because your coach stinks. It's like, I need something fresh. I need something new. They can't ever get anything fresh or new. It's going to stay exactly as it is. Kageyaki needs some sort of fresh injection of something. What you can do is you can hire a weight training coach, so you can add a coach.
Yeah.
He needs something
new,
some spark. And if we knew what was going on, behind the scenes, we'd really understand it.
There's always the layers of things.
Yeah.
It's one of those things. It's like if you're in the top division, that you've got a chance, and he is in the underdog position.
And underdog positions can put you in a good place.
Can get you a Yusho.
Right. Right. How many times has the...
always...
Well, let me tell you something. I would think the world was ending if Kageyaki won the Yusho.
Oh my goodness.
Okay, so... Where's the meteor? Because this is really weird.
That would be bonkers.
That would be beyond my comprehension. So, the only note we really have about Juryo is Chiyomaru's out, Chionokuni's out, Aqua's out.
So Chionokuni and Aqua were pretty...
banged up, struggling. Aqua's judo moves are not working for him.
Yeah, so not a big unexpected. So, not only 3 people up and down. The Ryuden's pretty high up, so we may see him, but we'll talk more about that at the end of the tournament. Yeah. If we talk at the end of the tournament.
It's a little bit up in the air as to whether we will have a wrap-up show. You'll just have to stay tuned to the channel and see if we do. Apparently, Mays and Junes and Summers are crazy busy.
Super busy, but
just quickly, we can do our predictions.
Yeah, so...
Prediction... No one was going to predict the last tournament.
Absolute madness.
So, we can either go wild and pick something crazy, or we can go with the staples. I'm not a betting woman right now, so I'm going to say... Ooh, I have such hesitation, though, because there really is no certainty in this tournament.
This is what's going to be fun, though, about May.
Yeah.
Because it could be Terunofuji comes back and says...
Roars and just... show you show.
Yeah, he'd be like, yeah, you guys were having fun before. It's time to stop.
I'm going to predict Terunofuji, but the bigger prediction is who's in the tournament running. I'm going to say... Is there going to be a surprise?
A surprise. Ooh. Looking at the lower ranks there.
Look at the lower ranks.
Lower ranks. Ooh.
I don't want to go too low here. Should be at least Team A or Team B.
Yeah. I mean, if it helps you out, I'm gonna pick Team B for Yusho contention.
Interesting. Okay.
I'm gonna go lower here with my group of rascals. I'm gonna say that. So Wakatakakage, I would say has the. I'll say he has the outside chance to do back-to-back Yushos and make everybody look foolish. Outside of that, I'm going to say Team B, Yusho contention, probably Terunofuji the cup.
Okay.
That'll be my stake, is that somebody in Team B is going to have a breakout, and then Terunofuji's going to have to put them in their place.
This is tough. This is really tough this time. I'm going to say... Hoshoryu is going to be in this race.
Hoshoryu.
He's not going to win, but he's going to be in the race this time.
He's going for it.
I'm going to take the risk on Hoshoryu.
Take the risk on Hoshoryu. I like it. So.
I do think Terunofuji's going to win, though.
Terunofuji, I feel...
Unless he comes in super injured. If he isn't full, I can't see him not coming in and throwing everybody.
Yeah. So I'll throw this out here, just for fun. Waka versus Waka playoff.
Oh my god! Come on, that would be too good.
It's too good. It's too good. It's not gonna happen.
Boy,
but I'm gonna.
It's been so long since they've had like brothers even in it that were competitive. I hope we get that someday.
Someday, maybe not this tournament, maybe not this year, but I'm
Give it another year
like,
or so.
Right there, look, like, top of the screen, Wakatakakage, bottom of the screen, Wakamotoharu. I'm just
too awesome.
I would love to see that in my sumo lifetime.
I know, we need to see
brothers. I want that. I want that. It.
So I'm going to give Hoshoryu his permission to be the guy.
So Hoshoryu with the breakout.
And I'm going to predict that Waka's not in it.
Okay. Yeah,
I'm not doing that because I don't think he can.
Yeah.
I'm trying to do some like...
What
is the wild
the outside the box stuff, yeah.
Yeah, because I think he's definitely capable of it. The question is Mitakeumi in it?
No.
I don't think so either.
No. Double-digit wins, fine. Yusho? Don't know.
Yeah. His performance last time just showed that there is the gulf.
Yeah. Well, this is what's going to be interesting, is that Mitakeumi was sort of, he was like Sanyaku mainstay, holding the line.
Yep. Now it just seems like he'll be Ozeki.
Now he's going to be Ozeki. So now what he's going to do is he's going to show up and style upon the other Ozekis instead of showing up.
Just show up, Shodai and Takakeisho.
Yeah. Show up instead of showing up the rest of Sanyaku. Until whatever point that he decides he's just tired of all that and just becomes Yokozuna, which is entirely up to him.
Well, the reality is he has 3 Yusho.
Yeah.
So he's capable at any point. I just don't see it happening.
Well, not in
this term.
Not in May. Not in May.
Not in May.
Too much in May. Too much in May for him.
It seems too soon. But I would love for Takakeisho to come back in the conversation, but I'm not willing to put myself out there until I know he's not injured. And I don't know that I think he's probably still injured.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I'm gonna say Waka is outside of the race and Hoshoryu is inside of the race.
Hoshoryu's in. I'm going with Team B. I think we both think Terunofuji is going to win it anyway.
Yeah. And we will have to revise if he shows up on day one and he's falling apart. But
yeah, he's falling apart. Well, then it's,
then it's the Wild Wild West.
Then it's the Wild West. Then Mitakeumi's back in it. Then Abi's back in it. Then
everybody's back in it if Terunofuji is hurt. So, well, guys, I hope it's a really exciting tournament. I hope all of our dreams come true. We see nothing but awesome sumo and the best of the best. So, thank you for listening, and we'll see if we're going to catch you at the end of the tournament.
Maybe, maybe not, but regardless, we will be watching and enjoying it, and we hope you do as well.
Feel free to ever send comments. We do respond, so if you want to chat in between, we will be responsive.
Okay.
Peace out.